Man, oh man, oh man, it has been a bit of a hot minute, but it's finally time to do more of this stuff. Alright, so for anyone that has not been on the channel for a very long time, essentially this whole thing started with two games. Essentially, Tactics Ogre was one of them, Armored Core was the other one. Specifically, 3rd generation Armored Core, which has always been my absolute favorite of the whole series there. Later on, you know, it still had a bunch of cool stuff, but quite frankly, 4th gen, like, I preferred looking at the scenery. I didn't understand the mechanics whatsoever at the time. And then 5th gen was like, it straight up hurt my eyes to play for more than 10 minutes. But either way, here we are. I forgot to turn off the cursor. Hang on, let me fix that real quick. Where's the thing for make cursor go away? There we go. No more cursor. Cursor's gone. But yeah, so I've done all of the rest of 3rd gen Armored Core manual fire only. Basically, for those unfamiliar, this is a game in which, despite everything going on here, almost none of this crap is actually representative of the actual gameplay. But basically, this is a game wherein a lot of the times it's a lot more strategic than specifically, you know, crazy action robot go boom boom type situations. But specifically, in a lot of cases, you're using specific lock-on type weapons. Basically always. Either like automatic, not automatic, but automated or lock-on style weapons are kind of the norm there. And in a lot of cases, you're like, it's specifically considered a debuff in the game if you're essentially in a position where your guns don't work. So either way, let's go ahead and start a new one here. Man, it's been absolutely ages. Like, Nexus is one that I had probably the least amount of experience with, and actually looking over my original save files from when I was a kid was absolutely puzzling, because I completely didn't understand what the hell was going on with some of these save files. Because most of my time with Nexus, like when I had 100% save and everything, was back on the PS3, and that PS3 is long dead. But looking back at my old PS2 saves that I dumped off my memory card, like, I don't know why I had one point where I just decided to name the main character Chuckle Duck, but either darn ways. Yeah, none of the builds made any sense. It was the standard, like, either just total nonsense or just machine gun, missiles, and shield every single time. But anyway, yeah, so for those unfamiliar, manual fire is just generally, you know, considered a thing that you usually don't want to be doing for this game. We're going to stick with Type B because I just prefer those controls. Dolby Surround because I actually have it on headphones for once. Vibration? Does this thing vibrate? I don't actually know if this vibrates. I'm going to have to check. Anyways, just like before, we're just going to... Well, we need a... We're just gonna go with Spudman for the name of the robot or the pilot here, just because why not? For some reason, that's just always the name that ended up coming up. We're gonna try to do the usual thing of creating the old AC here, the complete piece of crap, the reverse joint with no armor or mobility or whatever else. And then we will go from there. Gonna do a little bit of lore watching here for about 3 seconds. Long story short, this intro cutscene tells you absolutely nothing. Moving on. Basically what they're saying is, since Silent Line, shit went south, and now there's the usual corporate warfare that happens in every one of these games. And yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at our starter AC. This was the first time that they implemented a bit of a different system here, wherein you basically can't sell all of your starter crap to make extra money, which means that if we want some extra money, we're going to have to redo some of this, because we can't even use any of these starter weapons. Which actually, now that I think about it, how the hell... Okay. We're going to have to change some stuff. First of all, do we even start with any money? I forget. 40k. We might be able to buy one rocket launcher, maybe? I don't know how much stuff costs this time around. We're not going to get double rockets this time around. Those will probably be useful if we need to do a push of some sort later. Oh man, this looks so pretty compared to original hardware. Like, you forget how good emulation is until... Oh, shoot, right, that was the price. We don't have any money. Never mind. Okay, there is a way to still pass the first mission, and those that have potentially watched, you know exactly who I'm talking about. For some reason, my brain is just completely brain farting because I'm just excited to do this whole thing. But yeah, you can't actually just get this mission to complete itself. Anyway, yeah. Game's fantastic is what I'm trying to get at. I like completely lost track of 7 different friggin' trains of thought here. Animation looks really pretty on this anyway. The starter AC is a bit of a heap. There's 2 things that can be done here in this very first mission. I don't remember many of the kind of hidden things about this game, but one of them is that there's a hidden part in this part which we won't be able to get because we can't actually fully complete it. But if you strip off all of your stuff, which that didn't go very well because I decided to go at it at an angle. If you strip off all of your stuff, you can just barely get there with the starter AC. There's basically a lightweight grenade launcher up at the very top there. If you could stop missiling me, that would be fan-frickin-tastic. And can I get a not one from the side, please? That'd be quite handy. And in fact, one thing you can do is just make these guys do the old, third-generation trick here of having them hit each other. Because friendly fire is always on in this game, so there's that. But if we just sort of like go right here, they'll end up doing that. I don't believe that was an intentional dodge from their part, because usually the AI is pretty bad. But either way, we can make them hit their own dudes. There we go. There's one down.
We've encountered resistance.
The resistance is us. Actually, wonder if technically I don't think. I think we do have to eliminate all of them, but I wonder if there's any way to still make this work. Because I know for some of them you get additional money for just doing some of the objective. So there we go. There's 2 of them gone. Yeah, it's totally their fault, guys. It's totally not you. Don't worry about it. Anyway, now that... You, sir, are an ass. Anyway, let's... You can barely get up there if this guy's missiles would stop being douchey. That's how you do this. And yeah, generally speaking, if you if you either dodge them or you end up in a position where he fires his rifles instead, you can get like right up to this ledge, and then you jump up right there, and there's a grenade launcher, and I guess we'll just go the safe route. Technically, there's a lower entry point right over here somewhere. That you can go hop onto. Realistically, we should be failing this mission anyway, because we want to fail it in order to fail it multiple times, which then causes you to, well, for somebody else to come and complete it for you, because they're like, wow, you're ridiculously incompetent. Okay, fine, whatever. I guess you just get this one for free. You don't get any money for it, but either way, he comes and sorts out your problem for you. This was one of the entries where they actually tried extra hard to make all kinds of different choices and stuff kind of stick. Because throughout the series, it was always this thing where, like, you had choices, but realistically, did it matter that much? Like, whether you had Chrome or Murakumo back in the first games, or whether, certain people were there or not in the second ones. But in the third gen was when they started deciding to make a lot of things, like, really stick. Like, AC3 is definitely my favorite, just because of the amount of times that every single character would, either show up or not show up, or, even send you angry emails if you betrayed them in a mission or whatever else. In other cases, they just plain wouldn't show up anymore. But yeah. So, anyway, the way that this process usually goes, at least when I do it, is that, yeah, you try that first rock a few times, it doesn't go well, you get annoyed, so you try these other rocks. Then you're at critical health, but then you try to get to some of these other sections, and then you get shot down by missiles kind of midway through this whole attempt. And then at that point, yeah, you just kind of accept defeat and call it a day. And yeah, then you come back on New Game Plus, which is what you're supposed to be doing. But either way, it's just kind of there. Realistically, there's no point in picking this up, because as soon as I fail the mission, they take it back anyway. Presumably as compensation for the fact that they got to repair my AC now. But anyway, technically I saw some folks mention that it might be a better idea to kind of like overboost past this section here, so that you can maybe just burn all of your energy and land at the right time, but that's a little bit tricky and I don't feel like doing that. Yeah, I don't know how somebody managed to lose their grenade launcher up here, but here it is. Anyway, let's go see if we can just sort of convince them to blow themselves up, I suppose. Over here trying to... Actually, wait a minute. That overboost device makes no sense. You don't even get overboost on this AC. Oh well. Usually you do on your starter. Alright, there should be one more guy down there, which we skipped over him earlier. But... I wonder if... I mean, there's really no way to survive it at this point, but... It's like, if we leave the two right next to each other... Absolutely nothing would happen, because then you can't deal with the last guy. Although, what... Then again, I don't know if they had the thing where, like, when you explode, you have friendly fire on stuff nearby. I think that was only in Last Raven. So I'm pretty sure what ends up happening there is just like you only self-destruct in Last Raven. Like that's the only one where your AC actually properly blows up. All the other ones you're either disabled or just evacuated. So in that one, yeah, you self-destruct and you blow up things nearby, which means that you can basically spike kill bosses that you're annoyed by. Either darn ways. Continue on. So, I'm assuming there's no way in hell they let us keep that. I'm very, very positive that we can't, because you can't sell your starting part. Oh, shoot, we did get to keep it. Alright, cool, well, whatever. Like I said, it's been a while since I did Nexus, and the rule up to this point is that you did not get to keep the stuff that you stole off of missions. They just confiscated it on the way back home. So we're just going to go ahead and switch over to our rockets here. In which case, we actually don't need to do that other thing. Now, these are 210, these are 158. These do... Like, overall, no matter which rockets we use, we are going to be spending a lot. So, realistically, I think just getting more rockets is going to be the way to go here. Technically speaking, these ones hit harder. These ones have better range. These ones are slightly faster, but... Again, we need those 11 extra rockets because we can only afford one launcher at this point, and I'd like to be able to at least complete some missions. So let's go ahead and go up here. Like I said, there's really no plan going into this one. Just like many of the others, we're literally just kind of completely winging it. I'm going to allow use of the radar for the time being, just to have something up there. As far as I'm aware, there's no point at which you absolutely have to use anything other than rockets, because... You know, manual fire is one of those things you always want to have on hand one way or another. Anyway. Okay, now we go back again. Re-attack search team. It's like, try again, you dork. Now, the funny part is, this mission changes a little bit, and I actually don't know if it changes based on how many you fought or not. The idea is supposed to be that you show up in this mission, right? And I believe in the second variant, you don't have the hidden part there anymore. And if you fail this one, Jacko shows up to just win the mission for you.
You haven't been spotted yet.
They're like, okay, fine. Fine, you get the ambush drop this time. Try again, rookie. You haven't been spotted yet, as we're immediately fired upon. Anyway, it's going to take me a second to get used to the new controls here. Now, is it literally only just the two that survived? Did they actually account for that? Because that's pretty cool. Like, Nexus is one of those ones that is pretty good about keeping track of the stuff that you've done. So there are a lot of cases where, you know, certain optional objectives will potentially go back and kind of carry on when you're going back later and stuff like that. Like, there is a route through this game where, like, Jacko, who canonically shows up in the next game, is already dead. You can kill him off in the story, depending on the routes that you take. It's one of these ones that, again, tries to do a lot of this little background stuff, and I never realized how much of that it did. Because one thing that's kind of neat about this is it's actually the first one where they basically said, okay, you don't have a load option. We want you to figure out these mechanics, and, you know, you just go with it, okay? You just go with what we give you, and hopefully, you know, if you can be a good little gremlin, you'll go and figure out how these mechanics work. And I, being a dumb little kid, did not end up figuring out a lot of the stuff. And I actually did try doing this run, by the way, using original hardware, but the absolute delay on trying to play it via an HDMI capture card I have that run saved somewhere, but it was practically unplayable. It was really, really slow, and basically the entire thing was just failing all the way through. Now, do I have any of my old emblems here, I wonder? No emblem saved. What about on slot 2? No. What about from Silent Line? Do I have anything from there? No. And how do I not have any of my... You know what? I need to make an emblem for next time, but until then... let's see. We got the protect base. I don't think we have enough rockets for that. And then we have missile performance test. That we can do. We can safely miss a bunch of things over and over and get shot a bunch. We can be a good little guinea pig. Need to make our new starch.
The test?
Yes. The test is the test. Am I allowed to fire back? I don't remember. I don't think I'm supposed to shoot back at him, but either way, maybe I am supposed to fire back at him. I don't know. We'll fire at one of them and see if they yell at me. Should I have paid attention to the briefing? Yeah, probably. In fact, actually, one sec. It might be a lot easier to see things if I don't have a light like glaring off the screen. Because one thing that the PSP version definitely has over the PS2 version is when it comes to this kind of like after image effect that you saw a lot on PS2. It's something that makes it really hard to tell where stuff is at a distance. But yeah. Okay, well, I think I just barely missed it that time, because it's like a little blip over there. I don't know if you can see it. But it's the usual kind of like use the force type shit to be able to hit these little missile pods. That felt... Oh, I guess I probably shouldn't waste any more money on these rockets then. Yep. I was totally just trying to dodge stuff. Yeah, those the shooting back was a simulation. Yeah, it's gotta make it look real, you know. Some very average coffee, delicious. Good. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a word for that moment when you go for a different like thing in your coffee than usual, because you ended up like suddenly, you go from black coffee to white coffee for a little bit, and it's just like, well, suddenly this tastes slightly different, and suddenly you get the sweet coffee again. Then you go back to the other coffee later. Anyway. Alright, so, next I feel like I want to do the lefty rockets. Either a shield or the lefty rockets, if we got any here, because, yeah, 40k, and then, what do we got on the righties? Is it just the heavies at this point, or are there regular shooty rockets? So we got the heavies, and we got the missile. Because heavy would be good, but it's only 10 shots, so this is going to be a good, like, anti-AC weapon. So if we have anything left over from our radar, which basically translates to we want to upgrade our head to have a radar. So let's see what we got here. Chicken head. You know what? I like my chicken head. Doesn't have a biosensor. Don't even care. But yeah, chicken head is usually cheap and reliable. And then I need a... What the hell side is it on? I need a back unit R. This was another one of those things that was really improved in the PSP version, where they just said, screw it, it's just back unit instead of back unit R and back unit L. Because it gets especially annoying if you, for example, start a mission, forget, and then your piece of equipment is suddenly counted as used. It's like, wait a minute, I bought the wrong side. Yeah, it doesn't sound like our problem. Anyway, this one has additional rounds, so we'll go ahead and do that. This might be overweight. I'm not sure, because these things... Like, the thing with rockets is that they're super friggin' heavy. And I don't know if we'll have any kind of, like, hanger-type units. Like, we do have hangers built into our standard one. I might stick to this core, because for challenge runs, I usually like sticking with this core, because it's got some pretty good basic functions. It's lightweight and all of that. Our mobility is beyond dog doo-doo. So we've got that. Anyway, paint-wise, we need to repaint this thing. Weapon color needs to be... Let's go and switch that over to yellow. And then... Let's see. Emblem. What do we got for sample emblems? I'm going to switch this over later. But for sample emblems, we got stuff and things. This one's always been pretty neat. This is the one that I was used to use as a kid because, you know, it's a laser spear, so of course. Then we got the shark, and then we got this thing, and then we got this very confused, like, mermaid with a harp type situation, which honestly, that one seems pretty neat. And then you got secret, which I think is after you get arena rank 1. Let's see. We'll go with the sample color, but we'll... I think it was caution orange that we're then going to go modify into the usual colors. So if we go here, we go for a bit more, say, a bit less of this, a bit more of this, get a bit more of that brown going. Actually, wait, we need this, It's going to take a bit of a second to overwrite my brain for all the different PSP controls. We need like a little bit of yellowish, kind of brownish, kind of silverish. You know what? That'll work. That'll work for now. And then instead of that green, we want a bright yellow. Let's go for those big old bright yellow LEDs. I don't know why I always really like the bright yellow little lights on there. I think it's because I was playing a lot with Bionicles and stuff as a kid, and I always liked the look of the blue one, but I always preferred the armor layout of the white one. But then always stuck the green one's axe on there. Because, like, freaking Legos are all I played with as a kid. Anyway, so protect base is 10 bajillion rockets can be enough for this. Shoot down helicopters. Yeah, we're done. We're screwed. And if you're thinking, you know, idiot, why aren't you switching over to spread rockets? Anyway. No, the reason is that their ammo count basically doesn't exist. Let's see, there's one of them. Can I do that?
This base is expected to be operational in the near future.
It's a little hard to tell ranges here.
Keep them at bay.
Well, let's see. One thing that's also notable as a difference between the between this and the PSP version is that the sensitivity on the stick is very different. So like in this one, you have to go way harder on the stick for it to show up because it's more of a direct analog type of thing, if that matters. That wasn't the right shadow I was aiming at. All right. Yeah, it's gonna take a second to remaster the sort of the jumpy twitch thing I usually do. And also get used to the lighting and everything. Because, yeah, they really... Like, the thing is, this was when they started going really crazy on the dark... On, like, the darker visuals and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, we are literally aiming worse than the AI that's intended to miss. Alright, let's switch over... Yeah! We almost managed to deal with one entire wave. Totally forgot about my secondary rockets. Not woefully incompetent, I don't know what you're talking about. But it's okay. This is one of those games that you can legitimately like fail almost every mission and turn out just fine. There we go, we got one of them. See, now I'm starting to get used to it. And as long as they're targeting me instead of buildings, you know what, this works out nicely. There we go. See, I can learn things. I know how a brain do the thing with the brain, you know, shooting the electricity to make the thinky happen. That almost hit him. Alright. Alright. Well, that's not good.
The base has been destroyed.
I mean, sure, but to be fair, all you need is a graphic designer in here, and they can just kind of go get it all patched up. It's fine, you just lost a few assets. Nothing to worry about. Also, this base throughout this game winds up being this group's friggin' never-ending nightmare anyway, so you know what? You're welcome. You're welcome. Problem solved. Now you don't have to worry about it. You'll rebuild it in like a week, and we're extremely broke. Moving on. Okay. So, thankfully, the missions are super generous. But let's move on here. Destroy the support supplies. Okay. Whatever you say, boss. Let's go in there and probably spend more money than we'll ever get. We're probably going to end up sticking with this with his cheap AC throughout most of the run, if this goes as well as it's been going. Like, because, again, even though this mission is functionally unfailable, our shots are extremely expensive. Now, also another thing, for those kind of like unfamiliar with AC in general, they're very good about modeling specific things. So, like, every one of, just like every FromSoft project, really. But you can tell that every one of these shots is firing from the right location and stuff like that. And sometimes this matters. So, like, for example, these hand rockets here are a great kind of self-defense tool when something's in close range, usually.
Destruction quota achieved. Please continue as time permits.
Yeah, let me get right on that. As we're half dead, basically fighting the janitors. I can't see anything. Let's see, you're about here-ish. I'm gonna change that sensitivity. It feels super weird to have to turn it that much to be able to actually do anything. In fact, you know what? Here, let's try to use this thing outside of the dock. Maybe I'll have an easier time. Kind of. I mean, you know what? This will work. It's good enough. Like, it's not as comfortable as an original PS2 controller or anything, but, like, that's pretty cozy. It's just weird, because you're used to holding the controller forward, but you gotta, like, hold your hands at an angle with this thing. Because this is on Steam Deck, by the way, if you're wondering. Anyway. Let's go blow up some boxes over that direction. See, the problem that I'm running into is, I don't know if you can tell, but, like, when I'm turning left to right, I'm used to the immediate response time from the PSP version. Whereas in this case, it's like, it's slightly, it takes a second to start turning.
Time's up.
And I don't know how to describe that, but it feels kind of weird. Either way.
Just barely made quota. Return to base.
Thanks. Minimum Achiever Jones over here. You know what? I kind of want to stick with the original basic frame with the chicken head. Like, I love that look. I know I can't be the only one that really loves this look. There's something very slick and, I don't know, almost aluminum looking by with the original starting frame. Oh, hey, look, we actually have money now. Yay, we're out of debt. It was that easy. We just blow up some boxes in a just massively inefficient Giga machine. Oh, sweet, Birth Bomb. Okay, so, for this, we can't afford the big shooty thing, and we don't want to sell off any of our current rockets or anything, so what can we afford? He's got all shell weapons. Let's see, lock-on cancellation. He uses only rockets. Radar range, cooling performance. Like, this would be ideal, but we don't have the money for it. Well, not a whole lot of changes we can make. Just hope to be able to get this guy, I guess. So yeah, Birth Bomb. He's an AC that's set up as your rival, and he uses what most consider to be the worst weapon in the game. And refuses to use anything else, which is awesome. We have almost the same AC, jackass. Anyway, so yeah, he's all rockets and blades and things. Anyway, so yeah, we're just, like, basically gonna do this kind of thing. As to why it looks like he's on fire, he's not currently on fire, so that's, you know, that's his problem. But yeah, no, he's, basically he is exactly us in many ways. Except he uses the better hand rockets that we can't get yet, the mediums. But yeah, he comes with a blade, though, so if you run out of ammo, he has the advantage there. But yes.
I won't forget you.
Okie dokie. You do you. Anyway, have a nice day. But yeah, his AC is literally just small rockets on the back, mids on the right, ridiculously heavy shell defense, which is why he was taking those hits pretty darn well. But this is why rockets are kind of considered an iffy weapon in this game, because not only do you need to manual fire, their hitboxes can be kind of weird, so they don't always hit. It's hard to tell what you are hitting because they have that massive explosion when they hit, so sometimes it feels like you're doing a whole lot, but you're really not. And in this case, you know, we ended up being ranked from nothing to nothing, and they ended up getting ranked from nothing to nothing, so we can't even get into the arena. But whatever. Alright, intercepted boomers. Okie dokie, we do that. As far as I understand it, we will see some different early game missions, because technically our intro involved failing that one mission, so it put us on a slightly different trajectory as far as missions go, because you will get different ones and such. Now, in a perfect world, our AC should be perfect for this. Oh shoot, hold on. I forgot that I mismapped something that I really shouldn't have, because I put a alt-tab thing on my stuff.
Raven, we just finished rebuilding.
Oh man, you guys are going to be real disappointed in a second then.
Them away from the base.
There we go. Now they got a little bit extra on the back of their hitbox, thankfully. So those helicopters are not ideal, but... Sorry, I'm trying to get used to my controls again. Trying to avoid that one button that makes the alt-tabs happen. But then as soon as the helicopters go away, we get another wave, or I guess they don't even need to go away yet. Alright, alright, well, we can effectively fight these. The rockets don't have infinite range, but they have pretty okay range. But it's 2 rockets to deal with one of them, it looks like, or I guess 3. So, we got one of them there. This little after-image nonsense makes it really hard to hit anything with rockets in this. I don't see any more bombers coming in, so I guess we're okay for the moment. We are getting really torn apart by helicopters, though. And this was already hard to do in the PSP version. So you can kind of tell how hitting the weird blurry thingy over here that keeps changing its elevation might be a little bit of a problem. Although that technique seems to work well enough. So they're a bit more aggressive with adjusting for where you're viewing in Last Raven, but it seems like you can quickly tilt your view up in order to kind of get an L-shaped line into where they're flying. But yeah, no, in Last Raven, it is super aggressive with that nonsense. Like, as soon as you tilt your view up, they're like, what? We've detected that, and we're just going to go over here. And it's what made Last Raven a just colossal pain in the ass when it came to this run. I never want to redo that one, even on the PS2 version. It's the same thing, but worse. Like, the PSP versions are just better in every way in my book. Ooh, Special Forces removal. Neat. Do we have more rockets, maybe? I would appreciate the big shooty biggie, boomy ones if we got something. We had 91k. I mean, technically, the better option might just be to grab the optionals and call it good. Or a better generator. Better generator, better boosters. Being slow isn't really necessarily a bad thing in this build. Better generator, though, would be good, because we're slow as sin right now. What kind of cheap upgrades can we do here? So, this one is just a very basic upgrade. So if we improve our generator, radiator slightly, and then we might have enough to buy the shell part, which is basically what we need here. So we can go ahead and swap those out. Alright, so we do this, we swap this, we swap in this. We buy the part for better shell defense, just kind of the recoil compensator, as I always kind of mentally want to call it, because how the hell else is it improving your thing for shell defense? Optional parts, put our amino in, kind of improves our defense in general. This is basically, if you play Dark Souls, it is the Ring of Steel Protection. That's what that thing is, in every conceivable way. Also, there's my tuning. Okay, So, we can't tune our normal parts. We can tune these parts. So, we have enough to kind of tune one thing part of the way, so we can get an additional 24 shell defense off of our head part, or... yeah, defaults can't be tuned. We might be able to get some better energy output out of this, which, like, it's not like it's much or anything, but, like, it's at least an improvement. Let's see how much we might be able to improve this thing, though. Because, like, this thing is primarily for force cooling. If we just improve our basic cooling a decent bit... like, one general rule of thumb is if there's one bit that's way lower than everything else, usually you're going to get a lot better return. Just going and improving its worst part than trying to kind of min-max. But anyway, so we've gotten that done. Special Forces. This is the one where Genobi does the cool flippy stabby slashy thing. Good coffee.
We're on scene.
Oh no! It's the scene crowd. Does anybody even remember what the hell that means? Because I don't exactly know the definition of it. I just remember it involved looking like a zebra for some reason. Okay, anyway.
They're using electronic countermeasures.
So yeah, this is what I mean by, like, this is playing the game like this is considered such a downside that not being able to lock onto stuff is considered a debuff. And these guys abuse it extensively. Now, all you gotta do is beat two of them. And unfortunately, jamming, you know, it's a bit of an annoying noise thing. You can't use your radars effectively to tell where stuff is. You don't really want to stay at this beginning section here, and these guys take an absolute beating. Now, honestly, in a lot of cases, there's so many kind of graphical effects going on at any given time. You may still be screwed even in an ideal scenario. As you can see, these guys are really, really tanky. But we were nowhere near there, but whatever you say, cutscene. Also, because we were boosting at the time, it didn't bother updating for that in the emulator, and we are still boosting. Boom. Ah, well, this is fine. We don't get paid for it, but we get the cool cutscene, so this works out just fine. It's like cool robot scene that doesn't make any frickin' sense in any capacity. Because I know I can't be the only kid growing up that went and used that rifle thinking, man, this is going to be able to three-shot these guys in New Game Plus. That rifle sucks. You need, like, half its frickin' magazine to kill one of these guys. That is complete bullshit. Moving on. I don't care how many crits he got. But yeah. Yeah, his AC in general just kind of sucks. Like, if you use that thing, you have to kneel down to use the cannons. It's not called the Dragon Slayer in this game, but, like, his blade is pretty good. Everything else is kind of meh. Alright, let's see. Remove the dudes that we don't want to say. Supply convoy, yes. This sounds pretty good. Like I said, like, Nexus... I like to think that the main character of Nexus is just the most, like, jobber of the entire of the character roster throughout this whole series, because they're perfectly okay failing every mission with no game overs. There's like one or two missions that'll actually give you a game over. Everything else is just free. There we go. We hit that guy. We hit that guy. And yeah, we mostly use the lefties here for the purpose of catching a shot that we missed. And I really have to figure out the sensitivity on this analog stick. Because, like, sometimes it'll go really crazy off to the side, other times it won't. I don't know why they couldn't just send some jets to do this, but whatever. I guess because these guys have so many missile launchers and things, they might have had a harder time. But yeah. AC missions are weird like that. Some of them last a few seconds, some of them are like half an hour long. That's Armored Core for you. That's just Armored Core for you. Alright, so I actually got a pretty decent amount of dough in that particular case. We're still super slow. I kind of want to... I believe that email was about our arena ranking going up, possibly. But our mission ranking is so poor that we're probably going to have a hard time getting any kind of rating whatsoever. Anyway, one thing I want to do, if we can afford to do it, is I want to get the high-efficiency boosters. So we'll go for those. And then just kind of boost those up to maximum. Those are the ones I typically like to use the most because they've got the lowest heat. Generally speaking, I prefer all the parts that'll generally give you a lot of good returns here. And as you can see right here, like if we were to do this, it would, percentage-wise, it would mean nothing to boost the to switch the heat for these things. But going and boosting their power is going to be relatively significant. Either way, and then after that, we'll be attempting to go for some reverse joints for the legs. Eliminate base attackers. That one seems like it's got a lot of units. Remove dudes. That one's completely dark. Bioweapon test. Yeah, we can do that. We're going to be a lab rat that fails missions 2/3 of the time. There we go. We're here for the research. We're just scientists and a giant robot, what can I tell you? Yeah, the original time that I did this run, like, I was practically dead asleep. It was, the whole shtick of that run was to be completely asleep during the whole process. But it was a bad idea for a run, to be fair. The same thing of just manual firing everything, but yeah, they're just self-destruct bugs. You can just kind of stand still and wonder why your sensitivity on your sticks keeps going up and down randomly. Like, if I put it in a circle, like, if I do it in a circle, instead of circling around, as you can tell, I'm just kind of gyrating. But if I turn it to the sides, or then if I try to go at diagonals, it just acts weird sometimes. I'm sure, again, it's just something in my settings. Like, I will say, when it comes to emulating PS2 stuff, usually I'm just operating off basic settings. I know there's probably more that I can improve there. But it is what it is, and all of that. Alright, and the cool thing about the research missions is that they basically just pay you if pretty much for everything. They cover your expenses, they cover your wreckages. Arena Dark Charm, that sounds like somebody we want to upgrade our parts for. Alright, I feel like ammo-wise we're doing okay. I do want to get some different legs if we can do that. Where are my reverse jointies? Because I want to try and save a little bit on our expenses. These things kind of fall off a little bit as the series progresses on. But like your standard basic heavyweight HRJs here, those are usually the ones I end up sticking with. It's just always been my favorite. I don't know. Okay, do we have any inside rockets here? And if so, how much are they? So inside manual rockets, they're going to cost us 24k. It's only 10 shots, and the weight's kind of up there. Like, I feel like we'll min-max into that down the road. I wasn't sure if we could afford them yet. These arms might be an improvement, because it's going to improve our cooling a decent bit. Better adjustment time, but I don't think that's actually going to count for much with our frame. We'll see. We'll see, and then we'll spend all of our extra pennies on tuning. Like, as strange as it sounds, I really feel like the tuning system was just better in this version. Like, it just feels more natural that you're kind of worried about where to spend your tuning money instead of it being for free, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that, but it just always kind of felt that way to me. We can get 4 extra there, or we can get way more extra there. Although energy might be our weakness, I don't know. Okay, and let me guess, you're going to be all energy or something? What are you? Lightweight, 2-leg thing, built to emphasize mobility and speed. Pilot utilizes electronic countermeasures to defeat lock-ons and minimize damage. Oh shoot, what are we going to do? Lightweight and won't let us lock on? No way. Please be a hover so that you're easy to hit with rockets. Alright, well, that went decently enough. See, oh, shoot, I did it again. Actually, you know what, playing in a smaller window might actually help a little bit, because everything's just more colors than after images in this case. Interesting. Oh, well, anyway, yeah, I think we're going to be okay. He's looking pretty good. I mean, he does do a little bit of a weird adjustment every now and then, just like a weird little circle maneuver, but overall, I mean, we're doing some pretty good numbers, but I don't know. go. Got another one. And normally what it comes down to in like later 3rd gen games is like you get one and then you find a way to repeatedly kind of like throw all the extra rockets down their throat, so to speak. Because early on you could rely a lot more on the heat buildup, and for some reason as the series went on, rockets of all things started building up no friggin' heat outside of napalm rockets. So yeah, it ended up becoming this thing of like you hit him, you tag him with one, and then you find some way to just stun lock him in place, ideally. Also, it occurs to me that I completely don't know how to swap out my or how to purge weapons in this version. I'm gonna have to experiment with that. I know my first time through, I tried figuring out the controls, and then I ended up just throwing away all of my weapons. So there's that. I know like, vaguely speaking what the commands are, but doesn't mean I necessarily know what the commands are. What a shame, buddy. It's like your main gimmick was completely unapplicable here. So that went nicely. Alright. But yeah, playing on emulator is really, really funky for PS2, and frankly, even on default stuff it is, too. Just because you never remember this constant afterimage effect on PS2 games. Like, it always feels like it's doing more than it is, you know? Like, it feels like it's a glitch or something. And yeah, this is always funny, because throughout the entire game, they're like, yeah, you won, your rank went nowhere. This guy that you beat that's at a higher rank than you, yeah, they didn't move anywhere either. Alright. Attack MT Transport, that's the one where they gotta get out of the trucks, I believe. And eliminate naval security. Yeah, no, I'm good. You guys insulted me the last time I did mission for you, so y'all can screw yourselves. I'm trying to say I barely met your quota. I'm just going to go over here and fail this mission. Thank you very much. Jackasses. Alright, let's do this thing. Yeah, OAE, they just do great in this game. They just do so well. Everything goes wonderfully for them. Wow. Cool. Controls, calm down. Special? So yeah, this one goes a lot faster if you, like if you target the carriers first and then blow them up before they can stand up. Okay, calm down, controls. I'm trying not to turn so extremely. Chill out. I mean, it really has to be an acceleration thing or something. I don't know what that is. Also, these little walker MTs that look like they belong in Mech Warrior. Oh shoot! Definitely take a decent bit of punishment, like more so than I would have expected. Oh shoot! Might actually have enough ammo for this. Also, interestingly enough, I believe this is. No. It's this and Last Raven that don't actually have a hard mode. Despite being relatively on the hard side, but I think that's probably why whenever going back to these, it always feels like there's less enemies than you'd think. But it also has a sort of like difficulty adjustment thing that they started back in Silent Line, where the game will constantly, and I don't know what the metrics are for this, but it'll like end up adding different enemy formations and stuff like that, depending on how you're doing. So again, you can absolutely face plant your way throughout the entire game without any issues. But yeah, it's just a thing that is happening. But yeah, like in Silent Line, it was pretty extreme. Like I think probably my favorite example was the sandstorm fight, where you're just fighting some MTs, and you show up and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's a sandstorm. That's unexpected." And if you have a really hard time dealing with a sandstorm, it rolls away. And then if you beat the MTs, then they're just like, "Oh well, I guess that's sort of that then." Sandstorm's done. Have a nice day. And then you just fight the MTs and you leave. But then if you beat them during the sandstorm, they're like, oh, well, they had an AC backing them up. And then you fight the AC. But then if you have trouble with the AC, they're like, oh, yeah, guess what? We had like a freaking gunship up here this whole time. Now that the sandstorm's gone, we're just going to rain grenades everywhere. Like, I love that kind of crap. I don't care if the guy misses 90% of the time. It's just a cool spectacle to suddenly see, giant explosions falling down from the sky. Anyway, those lasers were tearing us right the hell apart, so I'm just going to go ahead and buy one of these. Stability, yes, because we had a lot of problem with that. And then condenser cap, yes. I don't think all of those parts are even going to fit right now. Oh, I guess they will. I keep forgetting that this initial core is actually pretty good. But yeah, we're just going to do that. Yeah. Security. Oh, yeah, right. I guess I should probably save the game at some point, huh? That might be an important detail. Yes. Yeah, the amount of pop-ups in Nexus always makes it seem like there's an error. Overwrite. Thank you. Yeah, getting my old saves to work on emulation has been kind of funky, because, like, FF10 works fine, Armored Core works fine. That is, most of Armored Core works fine. But then for some reason, stuff like Outbreak just straight up refuses to work. I don't know why. Like, I've redone it a few times, and, like, it's not a complete save file by any means, but, you know, it's my save file for Outbreak 1 and 2, and, you know, again, I don't have everything unlocked or whatever, and it straight up would be easier and better to go unlock everything, but, you know, it's my old save file. I want it. Oh, shoot. The thing that I can't lock on now. Man, what am I going to do? Okay, so he's gone. Literally our only job here is to get rid of those guys. If you could chill. This is another one of those missions that I believe has a come back later when you suck less condition. Also, these panels over here can get blown up, so these are one of those cases where if you get yourself blown into the ravine, you automatically fail the mission. So I believe the way through is underneath this bridge here. But you can kind of tell why I like this high-efficiency booster, you know, HRJ setup. Just lets you hover a lot more consistently, which is pretty good when an AC feels this heavy. Like, this thing is an absolute clunker. But, you know, if you can still controllably fly under these conditions, then you're good. Our AP sucks, though, so we're going to have to work on that a little bit. Trying to spot where the snipies are. There should be... yeah, there you are. I need to look through the settings, see if there's a way to turn off that after image nonsense. I don't think there is. Yeah. Okay, so there's one of them. I love this music, though. It's so good. Oh. Well, I guess I got shot. I mean, we did most of it. Now, I think there was maybe 3 snipies left, so we'll see how many are left in the follow-up mission. Because I wonder if it is actually fully keeping track of all that stuff. It did take some of our money away, so we probably should maybe tune some stuff before going back in there. I mean, I know on multiple occasions I went back through this game trying to save Navis. Because, like, I have nothing against these guys. Why do I have to keep blowing them up all the time? There we go. At least one slight modification. It's not like that much is really going to help us much, but hey, it's 3 less damage we take from 1 damage source. It's not nothing by definition, damn it. Alright, let's go. And we do the loading, and it loads, and it loads, and it loads. And it still looks like doo-doo, but it looks better than original hardware. Okay, so. Now we're back again.
Take out the MTs.
Yes, I'm working on it.
They're using ECMs. Watch yourself.
Yes. Do hit, please. He's like skirting right on the edge there, so... There we go. Finally. It's like as long as we're dodging some of this. Alright. Yeah, the second one's gonna hit. This is basically like a submarine simulator type situation right now. We're just trying to make our friggin' torpedoes hit way down there. And you can tell, like, really slight adjustments are making a really big deal in terms of our shooting trajectory here. Alright, that guy's gone. Okay, so there weren't 3 left, but they did scatter about those remaining ones in different locations. Good. Again, I don't know how precise it is about those numbers, but it feels like it's taking those counts into consideration. Alright. see if this time around... See anyone down there? No. See if we can use this pillar to sort of cheap shot some stuff. Let's see, we got that guy shooting from where? Just gonna like corner hack this guy. Let's see. Gonna shoot around the corner. That goes way down that way. I think I might actually have to step out and fight here, but we get the height about right. Turn, please. Thank you. As much as I don't like face tanking this guy. The angle won't cooperate, so... Alright. We'll just do the walking back and forth strategy, and my arm is super itchy. Take a second for that. I don't see this happening. That was not a hit. We will get a hit confirmation one of these days. That one felt like it should have, but I think the range might be running out before it gets there. Yeah, that one I think would have been a solid double from the left and middle, but... yeah, this thing... Maybe I need to upgrade the core here. Not really need as much as it would be very beneficial to do so. Because currently, one of the things you do notice about Nexus is a lot of stuff does hit pretty decently hard. And hey, check it out! We're in debt again! Woohoo! Man, living that college life. I say college life, but it's basically middle-class life right now. Attack research facility, that sounds... Well, arena, and we got a research mission, which both of those sound like nice, safe ways to approach stuff. But arena sounds fun. We're good at the arena! Because everything starts right in front of us, and we can just directly shoot it in the face. What type of AC is it? I don't know. It had a description. I should have read that. But, yeah. Also, one of those reasons that I really prefer the PSP control scheme... and this will come up regularly, is the fact that you can basically fire all of your stuff at the same time. That is to say, like, sure, technically on this version, you can fire your, like, insides and all of that. You can fire them at the same time, but the way that the buttons are laid out is that it's a D-pad down, and so you can basically just do your right and left arms at the same time. Technically, the Type A control scheme does that by just putting it on the triggers, but also screw that control scheme. So yeah, I don't want to learn new things. I'm gonna use the antiquated version and then complain about it. So yeah, let me be an old fart, dang it. That's what I got for existing this long. Anyway, I really should be employing some decoy pods. All right, there we go. I love how you could basically overlay every one of these rocket runs and it would basically look the same. Like, minus some control differences here and there. Actually, you know what? I think just for what happened to them alone, I might stick with this core right now. Because accidental overboosting from the stick used to happen to me all the time with this game. Because, again... having your overboost and stuff on the D-pad sounds antiquated and stuff, and it technically might be, but man, if it isn't, you know, a lot easier to avoid accidental inputs when they're in a completely different place. That one's gonna miss. That one was just a bad guess on my part. There we go. One more tap, and they are gone. And or we just wait for them to overheat again, but there we go. That is that done. And you probably didn't even notice where probably the visuals changed entirely because halfway through I accidentally skipped over and went back into full screen mode. Why do I have that mapped to the commands? Because it never works in the situations that I want it to work, and then whenever I'm doing something like this, it doesn't work when I want it to work. So, or it does work when I don't want it to work, and you get the idea. So, how do we do with the battle results? Oh, hey, look at that! Our rank actually changed for once. Neat. Capture filtration plant. That sounds like work. W-pod performance. We might do that. And attack research facility. That sounds violent. We are gonna go test a robot. That sounds good to me. Because you can die to the robot, and it's perfectly fine. We'll cover all expenses and ammunition costs and everything else. You know what? Just do the peaceful research life. And this is what I hope, like, when Fires Rubicon comes out, I hope it's got more stuff like this. I really hope it's more like Nexus, where it's not all about just, you know, big flashy bang bang boom boom all the time, that you can do this just interacting with the world stuff. Like, I love these stupid mundane test missions and stuff like that. It's just amusing, you know? Alright, so we're going to fire vaguely in the direction of the flashes and hope to hit something here, basically. If you fly above, you can get a kind of better view for where they are, because they're blue, and I exited out of the dang thing again. Because, again, I have it mapped to one of the back buttons, and so if I, like, lift it up, that's kind of just the end result of that whole situation. There we go, we got one of them. And these things just sort of seem to wander, so... Interesting thing is, supposedly if you fail a bunch of these, they just come in with suckier versions of these MTs and stuff later, because you gave them bad data. I'm like, we don't get it. We tested these on a complete idiot. What do you mean they don't work? They don't work right in a more serious scenario. Which, if you think about it, yes, logically this makes no sense to test this way, because it's like, here you go, create your own enemy. They're like, wait, what do you mean they gave us bad data? Well, of course they frickin' did. I really should be replacing probably one of the rockets with spreadies at this point for these types of missions, but oh well. Yeah, they're practically invisible from where I'm looking. There's one possibly like right about there-ish. There's one I think about there. Oh, there they are. The big old clump of them. It's like a turkey shoot, but the turkey's evil. And I'm the turkey. Am I an evil turkey? Maybe. Would explain a lot if you think about it. Yeah, it's mostly the fact that I don't know whether it's contrast, I don't know whether it's what, but I cannot see these freaking things. There's just too many effects going on. I'm just kind of vaguely shooting back in their general direction. But thankfully, no matter what you do here, you end up with a win. So there we go. We got one of them. I think there's maybe a handful. Actually, if we fly up, it might be possible to bait out the rest again. Space Invaders, this thing. One of them figured it out. Oh, you clever bastard.
That should do it.
Yes, that was on purpose.
Thanks for your help.
Use operator. Okay. They just got really confused. They're just like, well, how are we supposed to manage all of our logistics? They're like, use operator. Ah, okay, we'll hire that guy in terms of all of our security. They show up, their just budget has been inflated 10 times over. Like, what do you mean you start a whole research division? You were supposed to hire one assistant. Like, but I was supposed to do security. It's like, it's supposed to be you and your friggin' MT or whatever, not an entire research division. All right, I don't want to do that. That's work. Eliminate VIP. That one's super easy. Nighttime combat exercise. Oh man, I'm sure we'll do great in that. Speaking of, I should probably buy a head with some night vision. So yeah, if you didn't know, all the head parts have different stuff in terms of whether they got night vision or not. Yeah, that one don't have no night vision. I don't think the default one it does either. I should have checked, and you'd think it would be a little bit easier of a thing for them to incorporate night vision in their friggin', you know, excuse me, buttons? Okay, it does say whether it has night vision or not. Why this has night vision and no radar, I don't know. But, let's see, night vision, bio. Has suckier range, but a better scanning interval. No biosensor, does have a missile sensor. Meh. Yeah, by the way, detailed computers, like this one, are just really, really funny. Because then usually they'll be listing off random bullshit about the thing that you're fighting well after you've already killed it. Like, it uses close range things for this and this and this, and it uses long range things for this and this and this. And then if you go over here, like, if you decide to go maybe double check its biography, you'll find out that they had their second aunt's third cousin's birthday, 3 weeks ago, and maybe you could have assaulted them then. Anyway, this thing has all the computers and everything else, but no radar. Again, why? Radar and... what's just something cheap with a frickin' night vision? Like... fine. I mean, this thing doesn't even have an auto map. Such a weird collection of different nonsense. Maybe we will just go for this one. Like, this thing is probably the one that I end up sticking with a pretty decent bit of the time. Like, I like this one for its cheapness, but yeah. Like, it's really no question that overall this one tends to be better in pretty much every way. But I don't really want to improve it any. Let's see what we can do. Energy defense, maybe. Cancel modifications, yes. How much money do I have left over, even? I feel like we should probably improve the weight of these a little bit, maybe. Just kind of improve our speed a little bit. Maybe something a bit more like that. There we go. Should be a decent overall improvement. What does that potentially give us? Can we buy some side shields, maybe? I could really use some solid side shields. So 29k. I think they're like 27k or something. Do we get side shields yet? No. 43 for these, 22 for the basics. And it's funny because these are weird. Like, technically they do improve your defense, but they also really vastly enlarge the size of your hitbox. So it's a little bit of a, double-edged thing, which technically that whole double-edged sword thing makes no sense if you think about it. Like, oh, it's a double-edged sword. You're going to totally cut yourself with it. Well, then you're not using your sword right, are you? Okay, so why did we do all this? Because literally this mission is just shoot one helicopter. And in fact, do we have his monies? How much are the spreadies? Because if I can get some spreadies from selling a couple of things, it's worth getting. Spreadies, wherefore art thou? Like, these are the perfect thing for this, because it's just 6 rockets at once. Spready. Okay. Do we even have any spreadies yet? Those are triples. I mean, we got auto fires. Well, I mean, that might be a thing for later. It won't be able to afford it right now, but anyway, let's just give it a shot. Worst case scenario, we miss. I know first time through, I just kind of randomly took a shot in the dark and just managed to hit the guy. So I totally forgot to even bring a night sensor, and I was like, oh, there's something over there.
Main system. Engaging combat mode.
And we're done here.
Using electronic countermeasures. Don't lose sight of the helicopter.
I already lost sight of it. It's in pieces.
System switch.
That does look very pretty, though. Like, especially for a PS2 game, I mean, for all the fact that, a lot of what happened in Verdict Day started with Nexus, I do really appreciate the visuals. We accidentally spent more money than necessary to take out that one helicopter. Following AC part has been awarded. Crest designated sniper rifle, emphasizing attack power. I love how they're like, yeah, we could have probably just attached this to a helicopter, but here you go. Alright, either way, we can sell it because it's brand spanking new. Hopefully. How awkward would it be if they just gave you a used rifle? Like, here you go. This is from our trash. Alright. So, I want to switch to some insides, I'm thinking. Or maybe we want to switch to something else. I don't know if we want maybe a better generator, maybe something like that. Should probably look into our core options right now. Because we can't use the EO, it's just not allowed. Weapon storage in this one's pretty good. It's just going to have better shell defense and stuff, better heat resistance. Less slots, but that's okay. More AP is kind of a big deal, because our current AP count is a bit iffy. And also we'd be able to tune it, so that's also a nice little improvement. Which actually just makes it even more weird that this is no longer the standard one, and it lost its overboost function, but I guess it's whatever. It's a nice little thing, you know? So we'll basically get, we'll get reminded that we're broke. Fine. We'll get roughly one side shield's worth of energy defense improvements in that particular case. Training exercise versus AC. Do we want to... It's time to get friggin' annihilated by Genobi. Ote! Oh. Alright. Take your bets now for how bad this is going to go, because I forgot to buy napalm rockets. I'm sure you are. Now mash, 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 mash. In some very rare cases, you can actually get him stun locked right there. It's not likely by any means whatsoever, but it is technically a thing that can happen. But you want to go for him when he's on the ground, just because he gets additional stun from it. And he's just a lot easier to hit when he's on a level plane. You might notice that I'm moving my my AC a lot more than I'm trying to move my cursor, and that's simply put because the way that ACs move in this game, it's just a lot easier to hit something at a predictable level. Dang it. I just did the thing with the screen again. Hold on. There we go. It's like if you can predict where they'll be rather than trying to aim for them specifically, unless you have a specific lock-on type of weapon here, you're going to have an easier time. Like I said, I don't expect this one to go particularly well, simply because he cheats. But it's like, you cannot fire that gun, is the thing. You can't do that. But you do get quite a bit of money if you do beat him, so there's that. Not to mention, its hitbox is kind of, like, ridiculous, as you can tell. Like, on paper, these rockets are doing similar damage, but, yeah. It's not actually that similar, because he's getting heat damage and everything else off him. But you can run him out of his rocket, or run him out of his grenades, so there's that. And he's very hard to see, so there's that too. And I'm trying to avoid hitting that one button that's going to make my screen go funky. So, like, what I'm looking at right now is...
The data is incomplete.
Is he sparking at least? I don't think so.
We appreciate your assistance.
So basically what I'm looking at there is just... When he's at a distance, he kind of blends into the background, so I was just looking for some flicker of movement. I wonder if I should just attach a controller to this thing. These controllers are... Like, when you're just going and playing on the small screen, it's cozy, like when you're sitting with a Steam Deck, but trying to use it docked like this. Like, I wonder if I maybe adjust some... I don't know. Well, maybe adjust some stuff. Either way, they totally lied on the actual income. They only pay the $226 if you win. But if you lose, they still pay you 98 grand, which is nice, I suppose. Nighttime combat exercise. I feel like REC is probably good enough. Let's go ahead and adjust a few things. Let's put some of that out there. Probably reduce our weight just slightly. We don't need to worry about arm weight too much. Yeah, that's already maxed out. That's maxed out. What about you? More output, yes please. Fortunately, I can't modify the weapons in this version. Not that that was too much of a fun mechanic in 5th gen. But we'll... let's see... Shoot the dealies in the dark. Neato neato. We invented gigantic robots, but apparently we can't figure out night vision that's been around since the freaking, like, 20s at this point.
Even though this is only a test, we ask that you take it seriously.
Okay. Pew pew.
Main system. Engaging combat mode.
Alright.
Night vision mode engaged.
think we would just press a button and it would just go click, but alright. Thanks, robot voice. Anyway, kind of getting into the swing of things here. And now we shoot one of those near-invisible missile pods, wherever the hell they were, and also something is still walking around somewhere. Yeah, I can't... Oh, there you are. Stability improvement, you are doing nothing. Hey, buddy. Goodbye, buddy.
It looks like we still need more practice. Thanks for your help, Rid.
I love how they don't even hide who they are. They're just like, yes, we'd like to rent the the rental facility for, you know, breaking every conventional rule if we could. We just want to mess with the population and all of that in our giant robots. Do you have any openings available? Oh, yeah. Trying to think if there's any way to make that joke go. And you know what, kindly enough, they actually covered our expenses and everything too, so very nice of them. Anyway, we get another arena fight with Mr. N-Bomb, which actually we probably should do our own improvements at this point. And if you're wondering, by the way, if you can ever hire this guy like you could in early 3rd gen, you cannot. He ends up dying off screen. Not that that's really the main issue, but, you know, he still ends up dying off screen. Also, you just don't get friendly AIs for the most part in this game. Which is a shame, because that was really cool in 3 and Silent Line. That was one of my favorite bits, of you just get to see how everybody progresses as the thing goes on. So, here's kind of how it goes. These have drastically more ammo. These things have a lot less ammo, but hit harder to start off with. Basically, for all intents and purposes, given the limited ammo counts, you'll really want to go for the mids. Like, even though they're technically listed as having half the ammo, realistically, it ends up looking a bit more like just getting dramatically more damage overall in the long run, because a lot of that 3,000 is just kind of eaten up. And if I can get some napalms, I think I can barely fit that on this frame right now. Where am rockets? We just got basic rockets. We got. So if we really, really need the extra ammo, we got that right here. Unfortunately, ammo extensions are no longer a thing in this version. I'm just going to give this one more look to make sure I got all of the rockets. Unfortunately, yeah, we're not getting anything else. So, bleh. Nothing there. Do I have those? Yeah, I don't even have my optionals equipped. That probably would have helped earlier. Let's see what kind of additional optionals we might be able to pop on here. Lock-on cancellations, missile lock-on time, side lock, laser blade, weapon attack, reload, firing consumption, missile display, which we already have, radar range, cooling performance, yes. And what else we got? Okay, we don't have any of the others just yet. Alright, there we go. Pop that sucker in there. Or I accidentally took off a completely different one. Good job. Give it a bit of a save. I want to say in total there's like 35 or something missions in this game. Something like that. But at least for like one playthrough. And then when you go back on additional ones, there's like 70 or so. Alright, so did it save, did all of that. And we go fight the dude before he gets killed off screen. Kind of tempted to just go and like auto quit every mission up until the very end.
You won't be so lucky this time.
Yes, quite lucky, very much so. Man, it was such luck last time. It's like, it's just wild. Probably shouldn't be doing that, because, yeah, he'll eat it, and his whole AC is just built for taking that kind of thing, to be fair. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody had that idea to start off with. At some point or another. This just becomes a rocket punching fest, but his shell defense is appallingly high. And he's very aggressive about getting in your face with him, too. He's literally the rocket punch guy. Ooh, and that's also why I'm firing at a different rate, too. I forgot that I switched over to the hand rockets. There we go. We can do the sort of flat rocket shooty thing. And it's funny. With your rockets, you can do a... I love how his accent changes, because I can't remember what they were doing last time. Yeah, like an almost Boston accent the first time. Like, you don't stand a chance the first time. This time is just totally different. Anyway, you can do different shapes with your different rockets as you shoot them in different ways, and then you make your shapes go shooty in that direction. It's fun. It is amusing. Alright, and bomb battle results. Did we actually improve any? Nope. Nothing changed. I'm shocked. Alright, attack power plant. What if we don't? Let me just do that. Alright, so basically, if you were to, for example, start a farm in space, eventually you would have an issue with, potentially pressure getting involved, a lot of, potential, like, let's say black holes forming nearby, and essentially this would create a lot of suction, and eventually, given that you're running your farm in space, I would assume you're probably at least accomplishing something with the donkey, and as is kind of expected here, this mission, similarly, were to, frankly, suck a lot of ass. So, there we are. Basically, the way that this one works is you fly through these things and regret your decisions, because every one of these rooms will just shred you to pieces, and you can't really maneuver anywhere, and yeah, you eventually are flying along in order to hit a square in the wall, only to get the news they have to travel right back through all of this stuff again, especially if you happen to go that direction. Anyway, you hit the squares, but the squares don't really always want to register is the thing, so like, unless you're going and using the right weapon, it won't actually register that as damage. So, either way, you eventually get over to one of these things, and then hopefully hide in this this thingy right here, and then wonder why your controls aren't working right, and we'll switch over to one of these rockets so that we can shoot a little faster. I would love to be able to shoot that thing, but, rockets and that. Yes. And then so we go back to the other one, and then the other ones are in a bit more of a squeezy hallway type of area. And so, we don't want to go that way. I mean, one way or another, you still, and like, this ends up happening, so you're not really preventing anything by not doing this mission, so Bayload loses power. That becomes plot relevant later, but, if you have a high enough thing with your head hacking skill, or whatever the hell that system is, you're able to get a hidden part in that area. I don't know if this head has it. It might. It's the big computer head. It might be able to. It's kind of like a hidden hacking score of sorts, which was more of a direct score in AC2, but then in this version, it just kind of wasn't. Okay, now if we could go ahead and end the mission before this laser gets me, that'd be great. Shut up. Let me out. So you just kind of, like, depending on what room you ended in, you just kind of got to sit there, taking hits, hoping to survive while he does his dialogue box. And on more than one occasion, I've just gotten completely killed off at that point, because the mission wouldn't end. It's one of those ones of, like, yeah, there's no feasible way they ever got out of there. Basically the 4th gen problem. But anyway. That is that accomplished. City without power, yada yada. We are a terrible person now. New MT performance test. Neato. Let's go ahead and do that. And it's these annoying little giblets that you see all over friggin' Last Raven. Boy, oh boy, everyone loves the Burninator MTs.
Deploying. Begin.
Everyone's favorite enemy type, as they make you explode immediately. And... oh, they didn't fire. Okay, cool. There we go. A little bit weirdly delayed on that one. Yeah, these things are fun. But you can make them friendly fire each other, so that's amusing. But yeah, they got a lot of good defenses on them. They got a lot of bulk, they got a lot of hitting power, and they love to sit in tight corridors in Lost Raven. Because it's not going to be a question over how the hell they got in there in the first place. It's a question of people saying, hey, this is going to be really funny. These things totally would be all over a power plant. What are you talking
We
about?
appreciate your help.
Yep. And then we carried on.
Mission objective achieved. System switched to normal mode.
We done with this yet? We'll be out of here. Okay, get our research money. Neato. We get some thank you letters. Remove city intruders. This is the one that happens in the dark. From Navis. They're like, hi, we are still relevant. We have a monopoly on this thing that is poorly explained, but somehow involves a gigantic robot mosquito apocalypse. Question nothing. This is fine. Okay, so here's what do for hidden part. So what we want to do is find all of these guys. Just kneecap every one of them. They are going to be scattered all over the friggin' place. Apparently you want to do that thing where you lived, which maybe don't. There we go. Pop one of them. Switch over to the better rockets, because I keep forgetting which game I'm playing. It's a little bit hard to tell which ones are the strong ones and which ones aren't. Hey, buddy. It's going to be one of the tougher ones there. Got a little bit stuck on a ledge there, but fine. Apparently there's a walkie one over here somewhere. About there. You could, chill with the walking slightly sideways. Good. Good. Yeah, I really appreciate the 3 targets remaining counter. Like, unironically, I do appreciate that. Because it does mean that when you're going and doing your hidden part search and stuff like that, you can know safely what's left. Okay. So, then there was one. So that's going to be a basic walker, so we know he's only going to take 1 shot, so goodbye. Anyway, so what we do at this point is fly up to these doors. Now, one of them, I want to say it was the northwest side or something like that. We'll just fire a rocket every time that it's a wrong answer. But one of these will have a door that can be opened. Okay, there we go. Found a way to finally purge those pesky lefty rockets so that we can open these without spending money. Okay, so it wasn't those. Now that I think about it, how the hell would you tell if it's northwest? Oh wait, right, it's at the very top. Right. Maybe it was the northeast? I don't know. I remember, like, if you're playing without night vision, it's the only one that glows green. But if you are playing with night vision, you're just looking at this, so there's that. But it's kind of a cool little detail. I mean, FromSoft really always loves their details. And I guess it would make sense for it to be this one, because it's also the one that's got the nearest thingy over here to go and land on. Man, this generator sucks. That's got to be our next upgrade, that is for sure. Alright, which means that it should be this door, theoretically. Dick. Alright, blow it up. This thing is like all computers all the time. What the hell do you mean you cannot unlock 8? Rude. Really rude. Anyway. Now that we've gone ahead and thrown our S rank right in the toilet, let's just go ahead and snipe this guy and be done with it.
No energy sources detected.
Alright.
Area secured.
But yeah, so, like, it's not that rockets are outright awful or whatever else. They do have their applications, but they definitely do require you to play differently. Definitely require a lot more creativity with your movement and stuff like that, and that's why I like doing these runs, but yeah, to each their own, and all of that type some suchery. Buttons, balance is balance. They attack a darkened city. Oh no, I wonder who did that. Arena catfish! But we're already practically broke, man. Ain't got time to be catfished. Alright. Fine, I guess we'll go and pay our Nigerian prince. Moving on. Now, this is like, right now is what a situation that I would only describe as a very Steam Deck situation, where like, after a certain amount of time of playing literally any game, your fingers just kind of adjust to whatever funky shape this thing demands, and it's the, like, weirdest, most intuitive, sudden thing, where no matter what the game is, somehow your fingers will find a comfortable place on this weird circular shape that calls a controller, you know? It's just funny how that works. And also, I think I'm gonna get rid of these hand rockets. As much as, you know, everybody appreciates a good hand situation, this is, as convenient as they are, they kind of suck in this version right now. I remember they're, like, in Last Raven, in Formula Front, all of that, they were better. I don't know why. Maybe I'm misremembering about Nexus in particular, but their firing rate is so just appallingly slow that it's just not doing the job right now. How do I... There we go. I'm trying to remember how buttons... I think I purged one extra weapon at the same time. Screw it. Oh well. In fact, this running full mid-rockets feels like it's a pretty okay situation. Like, mid-rockets in general are going to be the most efficient. Like, you've got the most agility out of your small rockets. You've got the most hitting power out of your heavies, but, like, the heavies are straight-up artillery. You don't really necessarily get much efficiency out of them. They worked well in Last Raven because in a lot of cases you just needed that extra punch to suddenly break apart, you know? Like, especially versus anything hovering related, they would just pretty much entirely stay out of your way for the most part, and then out of nowhere you'd be able to just break their legs with one or two shots, and it was very, very convenient. Because, yeah, shell defense tends to be pretty stacked. So there's that. And it's just a lot of ACs tend to run high shell defense. And that's why things like EOs on a rocket build are pretty darn strong if you've ever done a done any tournaments for 3rd gen. But either darn ways. All right, let's continue on here. Alright, prepare for invasion. Neat. Defend transport. I don't like defending things right now. New MT performance retest. Did somebody say day-to-day job? Hell yeah, let's do this. Alright.
Deploying MT test units.
They have a slight lurch. Alright. Immediately switch over to some other rockets. This is the one I'm thinking of. That sounds more like him.
Raven, this is the second test.
No shit. I forgot. It only happened like 20 minutes ago.
Need accurate data. Give it your best.
Well, I'm trying to accurately provide this data right in their sternum, but like... this data is hard to deliver sometimes because I keep hitting the button that makes my screen go funky. Hold on. Let me switch back to the other screen. There we go. Continue shooting with more accurate datums. I don't know what data this is really supposed to provide them with. I mean, like, every AC will come up entirely different. And I think that's just kind of left for you to figure out, like... It's like, especially considering that they're usually meant to counter one thing in one situation. And I guess the idea is supposed to be that, you know, a experienced pilot or something like that would be showing up expecting to fight this thing again. So they're like, oh, this worked last time. So can this thing, essentially, will a few part upgrades, you know, fix all of the stuff that we've updated on our end, or, you know, something like that.
Mission objective achieved. System switched to normal mode.
I don't know. Alright. Struggles 3. Strike Kasragi. Which one's this one again? Oh. This one. Okay. Ote, if you say so. Yeah, this is... So, I changed a few things for emulation stuff. And this is part of the reason why, like, whenever you see water or specifically this water texture, you'll basically see what you're seeing right now, where the water has lines. It's a weird thing. Alright. So we don't want to sit on those for that exact reason I was about to say. Cool. It's fine, we just came for a swim. Yeah, anything that's a darker tile in this one can get blown up. Which, yeah, the AI totally will blow it out from under your feet, so, yeah. It's fine, it's fine. You saw nothing. Anyway, what else can we do? Protect fuel depot. Protect sounds like work. More arena, you say. Cover our expenses, you say. I believe we can do that, and it's the same guy again. So, yeah, they probably want a rematch. So, yeah, I guess we'll get right on that. I definitely do want to pick up some spreadies, though. There's a couple missions later where hitting an annoying thing is going to be kind of useful. Would be cool to be able to see stuff. I hate this map. I can't see anything. This is literally the one where you just sit and, like, listen to your lock-on the whole time. Which is probably why he's here. It's like, whatever you say, Lockbox, like, purely, you know, FCS Jesus, take the wheel. I mean, it's a cool gimmick with this guy, that he's just, you know, he's the stealth guy. You know, he's trying his best. He's in a giant mech or whatever else, but he's managing to find a way to be stealthy. You gotta respect it to some degree, but it feels like they're jamming my eyeballs, you know? Most of the time you just kind of wait for the jamming to stop. And then you just sort of go from there. I would say this would be a more effective gimmick if he actually ever bothered attacking, but mostly he's going for those blade hits, so just due to the fact that he's pretty much min-maxed his levels entirely for Weeb, we're pretty much just fine. Oh wait, that's his jammer that I'm shooting at. Trying to look for his booster, which actually, come to think of it, where's his booster trail? Did he specifically pick like low light boosters? Is that what's going on here? Because that's pretty neat if that's the case. Because he definitely isn't using these ones. These are like glowing like the dang sun. There we go. I think he actually might have just burned himself out of energy because he's walking. Good job. Which means he also can't use his best weapon. I mean, look, like, this guy is an absolute lightweight, and he has taken these things for minutes on end. This is just how rockets are in late 3rd gen. Early 3rd gen, like, you get hit by a couple of them, you're already overheating. You know, you're taking some serious punishment at that point. This guy's running a light frame, and he's just like, yeah, just plink him. It's fine. Plus side, though, rockets do effectively counter blade builds. This applies for PvP also. Like, I have, whenever in a couple of those tournaments or whatever else, I have used rockets to counter melee builds before. Because they go for the slash, and it has that wind up, and you immediately punish with a rocket. And theoretically, rocket parry could be a pretty effective combo if you time it just right. But it's like, it's so specific, you know? Ah, man. Alright. Oh, did we get an upgrade? Yeah, we actually got a ranked upgrade. Neat. Destroy the thing. Living organism removal. Probably just gonna go for that. Yeah, I don't feel like protecting the dang fuel depot. That's the one that you got to get without destroying any of the fuel pods in order to... Oh, yeah, no thanks. No, I'm out. Nope, nope. Fuel depot sounds great, actually. Actually, no, let's go back to this one. Yeah, that one's literally just you're in a tube and you gotta just janitor up everything in there and then you get ambushed by 2 ACs. I mean, I think it's that one. It might be the one after it that you get ambushed. I don't know. Either way, I really don't like that map.
Main system. Engaging combat mode.
Get to work.
Yeah. I'm working on it. Flashy effects everywhere. Should I have gone for hover legs? Yes. Yes, I really should have.
AP at 50%.
Am I probably just gonna fall in the water again? Yeah, probably. Should I have just done it right the first time? Sure.
Danger. AP at
Is this going great? No.
engaging combat area.
But the AC is on fire, so if I fall in the water, it'll be fine. It'll put the fire out, and then I just get to go take a submarine adventure instead of blowing up. Win-win if you think about it. It's a free vacation. Well, you know, I mean, it's on a budget. You have to consider stuff's already hard to afford right now, and right now, look, this vacation cost us $2,800. That is, like, even today's dollars. We're not even talking like $3,000 or whenever this takes place. Like, that's a bargain for a friggin' sea vacation, you know? Let's see, living organism, protection. Okay, fine, we'll go deal with the bugs. Mash. Biosensor recommended, except we can't sense the bios with anything but our eyes because it doesn't work, because we have no lockbox, because we have the thing that chucks rocks.
Main system.
Anyway.
Engaging combat mode.
I'd like self-destruct bugs.
Eliminate all targets.
Raven, watch yourself in there.
This map's hilarious. They're just like
Destroyed most of the plant's defenses.
Nexus loves doing this thing where they just like chuck you in the deep end. It's like, oh, surprise! Getting blown up already. Map hasn't even loaded in. Yeah, actually, this is the easy one. This isn't the one I'm thinking of. There's one later where you gotta, like, find a bunch of MTs and crap. Or maybe it's earlier. I don't even remember. But you basically have to find a bunch of tiny MTs all over this stupid map, and then finally, at the end of it, they're like, surprise, you've been ambushed. Oh boy, ooga booga. And it's exactly as fun as it sounds. Wait, as long as they don't, like, directly jump on you, they're basically giant, like, robot-sized zombies. Which we should probably kind of scuttle on this way. I'm not trying to unlock the gate, I'm trying to go this way. And fire my secondary rockets, which just happen to be the same function. But it's the same function. It's the same button. Although a funny, like, little side effect of that, like, if you think about it, you should always be opening every door with your left arm. But that never seems to come up. Like, they just sort of psychically open it. So I guess it's just sort of implied you have, like, a RoboCop spike in your hand or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of, like, up there-ish. I mean, for what it's worth, like, overall programming-wise, it's kind of impressive that they managed to make these things jump from platform to platform like they do. Alright. And they jumped down, didn't they? Well, fine. I'll go deal with that. I think there was a part in here, wasn't there? I want to say one of these had a hidden part somewhere. It's not really like we need them anymore, because realistically we already have the entire build. You get money out the wazoo in this version, or in this particular entry, so it's just more for curiosity's sake than anything. Alright, whatever. Boom, boom, and we're done here.
Target destruction confirmed.
And yeah, we still got to deal with the weird zebra river.
Really gave us a run for our money.
So thankfully, okay, so emulation-wise, for some reason, default settings for PCSX2 refused to run Armored Core and Outbreak of all things, specifically, with anything other than what can be described as ungodly jank performance there. Which is especially weird, because I've tried those little, like, Retroid devices and things like that, and they were able to handle stuff like Outbreak just fine, but couldn't handle Armored Core. And then I tried going and using, what was it? Just going and using my phone for one of these, and it was able to handle Armored Core, but not our Outbreak. And then in this case, it just doesn't want to handle either of them for some reason, and this guy apparently wants to fight again. Stealth Ninja guy, you suck. Why do you keep wanting... Whatever. Apparently we're just going to have the same fight and the same thing. We're just having a rematch. Like, I swear, this time I'll remember that I have an attack button. I swear, you guys. I mean, to his credit, he did dodge this time. So, I mean, that he didn't dodge, and many of these other ones he won't dodge. And I doubt my inputs will be as good as they were on the Vita, just due to sheer familiarity, but you know what? In time, we'll figure this out. It is a bit more aggressive this time. This is definitely around the time that you can tell that they were trying to mess around with, like, tuning AIs and stuff more. And this is where we get some of the ultra-scripted, like, really adaptive AIs of... Like, I say adaptive, it's more just outright cheating AIs of the Last Raven and stuff. But it's a cool idea, where they're trying to show, you know, character growth through movement and stuff like that. I really appreciated that, but Last Raven took it too far. Like, it's not even challenging as much as just annoying. Like, I always called it mosquito syndrome, but, like, literally they will read your inputs and stay on the corners of your lockbox, and it's just the most annoying nonsense. But yeah, they weren't quite there in this version yet, so that feels good. It's like, it always felt like it had more character in a way. And, like, it's a shame because the scenario for Last Raven is pretty cool. It's just like, it's a mix of a few things. A few folks said that that they were focusing way too hard for multiplayer at that point, because there was a growing multiplayer scene since apparently Another Age. Anyway, around that point, they started focusing more and more on these different multiplayer modes and whatever else. So this basically meant you had these longer missions that were designed for bigger ammo counts and stuff like that, and you were coming in, they're like, your rifle has 48 shots in it. Like, what do you mean? This used to have 200. Like, sounds like a you problem. Like, can I put ammo extensions? No, those were too good for multiplayer. It's like, fuck is wrong with you? But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that feels like in theory it would be more interesting, but anyway. Attack OE Expedition, and ooh, what's this? Performance test. You mean I can just not go fight something? Cool. We're still making progress. But yeah, you basically are just building up a certain amount of points, and you use those points to then do a mission. Yeah.
Main system. Engaging combat mode.
Has stuff been gauged? Yeah, these
All
are...
MTs deployed from this point will be equipped with ECM.
Oh boy, that's gonna do so much. You picked the perfect test candidate, don't worry. On our, just like on our, like, Raven, like, friggin' Indeed profile. It's just like, oh yeah, no, perfect ECM tester. Like, managed to overcome every ECM test. So, like, how did they do it? They didn't use lock-ons. Like, that's an option? I mean, I say that like it's absurd, but to be fair, like, this is entirely how job hiring even frickin' works, so, yeah. I mean, realistically, most job hiring stuff is total BS. Hell, a lot of them just handle it strictly with an AI, so it's not even that far off.
To normal mode.
Like, I've had a lot of random gigs and other, you know, different positions over the years, and almost every time it's just been a matter of, like, does the person just like you or not? Because it's like, do you have any experience in this whatsoever? God, no. I can pretend I do, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so hold tunnel defense line. That's gonna be a no from me. Oh wait, right. Okay, fine. I suppose we can hold a line. We can't. This is gonna go terribly. We do not have the anything for this, because for this one you want snipies, and then eventually, like, there was a revised version of this for Last Raven, Wherein in that version, you did this a little bit differently. It's like literally the exact same mission, more or less. But in this one, they're just like, oh, it's shock, horror, they're behind you all of a sudden, and you just kind of got to deal with that. But yeah, you're just kind of like going backwards and trying to hit things. Normally you want to do this with the dual sniper rifles and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to hit vague green outlines, lady. Chill. You don't say! Well, we're done.
Mission failed.
This seems like it could be easily solved with a few bags of cement, but whatever. Moving on. I guess we'll just give up now. It's fine. It's fine. Alright. Ooh, what's this? Do we have another mission test? Let's see. ECM missile test. What's this? Because that's a new mission. It's got the glowy thing. Ooh, attack the transports. Yeah, I'm good. Cool. More tests, please. Please cover our egregious expenses. Evade a sufficient number of missiles so we can have accurate data. Okay. If you say so.
The missiles fired during.
Now, is this the right missile test for the thingy that I'm gonna do? I don't know. But for some of these, it is as simple as going up to one of these corners and just sitting there. Like, they will fire from all different angles and whatever, but you can actually find dead angles here where you can literally just sit in place and everything will bounce off. And I want to say it's like right here about... Well, at least most of them hit. Or most of them didn't hit. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but realistically, you just got to avoid for a little bit. Just going to like keep getting in this corner a little bit. Some of them are going to miss, some of them are not. And now we sit and check some emails. All right.
Warning. AP at 50%.
Have we evaded enough yet? Because we're about to do the robot.
Data acquisition incomplete.
Hell yeah.
Test is finished.
That's right, if you shoot at a wall, you're gonna miss.
Mission failed. System switch
What?
to normal mode.
Rude. Fine, I guess they were very technical about avoiding those missiles. Ah. Rude. So very rude. Anyway. Guess we'll talk about transports. Fine. And this is the one where you sit on a rooftop and you make stuff go boom. Which should be theoretically perfect for our build, but yeah. And also it's straight up a thing from For Answer,
Wait until they're in range.
where they're just transporting a bunch of things and just shooting them down.
No mercy, Raven.
Rude. There's absolutely nothing on my profile that would make this seem like a thing that I feel like doing. Like, show no mercy. Previous job experience testing robots. And, like, bookkeeping. I feel like there was some visual jank and or some number fudgery that happened in some of these missions. Because it feels like sometimes your stuff has more range than it lets on, you know? But it does feel like a cool spectacle. You know, it just feels neat. And that will definitely hit. That will definitely hit. Alright, good. Missing that one on the left currently. Just got to hope that one got through. You do get a special part for getting all of them. Don't know if I'll even have the ammo for that, but it was a fairly easy one under most circumstances. Actually, a little bit surprised that the lefties have anything left so far. Yeah, surprisingly, the larges aren't really too much better for this.
Warning. AP at 50%.
I mean, they have a lot of planes. Definitely no question there. At a certain point, you know, you just kind of cut your losses and pick a different direction that isn't directly over this low rooftop, but everyone's got their own ideas. This should be the last one. Until they're like second wave approaching. They've still not picked a new direction.
Confirmed.
Neat.
Mission objective achieved. System switched to normal mode.
The objective was being a horrible person. And also, yeah, all of this technology they can't figure out to go slightly left, slightly right, any other direction. Oh well. Special reward, what was it? Cowrie. Shallow, narrow, FCS. Right, armored monorails, no thanks. Ooh, Oracle. Alright. Right. This one should be difficult but doable. So this is Evangel this time around. He's weird in this one. Like, technically his build for Nexus is a bit more brutal.
I've been looking forward to this day.
Like, he cheats, but like his AI is just, or his build is just generally better. Except for the 5 split missiles, those things suck. They're definitely better in Last Raven, and his AI is definitely way scarier in Last Raven. You actually fight this one as a 2-4-4-8, and I don't know why that did not count as a hit right there. All right, it's right there. The hell? Wait, you're just gonna sit there?
Warning. AP at 50%.
Okay. I don't know what just happened there. Oh well. Yeah, I have no friggin' idea where he is right now. I don't know if that's emulation or if I'm just being weird right now, but like, I literally cannot see where the hell he is, like past a certain distance. Gonna be really curious to see if that carries through in the video. It's almost like he disappears after a certain... Like, I swear, he's just plain not there. Again, I'm gonna have to double check the video to see if that's looking the same way. It's super funky if it is. Like, radar's saying that he should be right there. And when he moves out a little bit closer, I can see him, but like, right now, I basically can't see the guy. Huh. I mean, I'm hitting him, I'm using radar to find him and stuff like that, but right there I can see him for a second. Like, vaguely predict where he is based on how he should be moving.
I was expecting a bit more from you.
Well, you know what? myself included, but I can't see Jack in this particular map, so if you could just pick a different map next time, that'd be great. Anyway, still surprised we haven't seen any of the more interesting story fights just yet, because we still haven't gotten to, like, Red Star, Genobi, any of that. I might have to make this a two-parter, because I gotta wrap it up. Guess I should just combine them into one part, shouldn't I? Oracle battle results. Is this the one where we end up getting updated anyway? Yeah, we go up 3 ranks despite getting, you know, pretty thoroughly whooped. What's this? Another retest? Okay. I guess we'll actually evade him this time. That's doable. I mean, in many ways, AC is one of those ones that's like a 2 sit-down kind of challenge run. It's like where you, generally speaking, your first sit-down, you end up doing a lot of the story stuff, and then usually it just the final gauntlet is kind of its own thing.
Main system. Engaging combat mode.
Data collected during the last test was inconclusive.
Okay.
We expect better results this time.
So we'll just ditch all of our stuff, go a little bit faster. Also, technically speaking, I guess your AI or your results go, you know, look a little bit better if you actually aren't trying to shoot at a wall, huh? I guess they only can fire a certain amount of missiles and all of that. But you can definitely tell that this is the same model that they use for missiles for a lot of bits of Last Raven. Which is like, it's cool. It's kind of an interesting thing. Like, I really love what they did storytelling-wise, where it's just like, here you go, the series goes from being super fun to just being an absolute nightmare over the course of stuff that you helped develop over the course of the series, but like, it really would be cool for it to stay doing the fun stuff, you know? Because like, 3 and Silent Line, stuff's great.
The test is complete.
But, oh well.
Mission objective achieved. System switch to normal mode.
Okie dokie, what's next? Rank 20. Yeah, we got promoted for no apparent reason. Probably 2 people died off screen. Top Crest Invasion Force. This is the AAAC fight in the... No, it ain't.
Targets approaching.
Main system.
Rude.
Engaging combat mode.
And this is again one of those cool moments where it's like, hey, I helped develop that thing, and then, you know, you show up and they're here attacking you with them, and it's kind of all well and neat and stuff. And then eventually, by Last Raven, they figure out, wait, these things are incredibly overpowered in close quarters. We should probably do more of that, and then they give them flamethrowers and napalm rockets and all that kind of crap, and it just becomes more and more of a nightmare scenario as you continue on. Which feels like a effective commentary on human nature in that, but like, man.
Warning. ADP at 50%.
I mean, that's one of those things that I always feel gets a little bit overlooked for stuff like the X Division mod, if y'all remember that. Where it's kind of nuts how at the very beginning it's all just conventional warfare kind of stuff, and by the end of it, it's kind of unusual for the entire map not to be leveled as soon as you land somewhere. Where there's just nothing left of anything ever. Oh, hang on, what is that? Well, that was weird. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Let's do it over there. Oh, is that the hidden part there? I know one of these has a warehouse with a hidden part in it. I think it might have just been a shiny pole.
Danger. ADP.
Yeah. I know. I'm looking for shinies. Shut up. I mean, these are definitely the perfect MTs to send for this. There's no question about that. Probably should have... I mean, honestly, this isn't even an inadequate amount of them to send. These guys are a legitimate threat whenever they show up. Really, their only issue is the fact that they're on 4 legs. Makes them an easier thing to target. We've saved this one office building! Oh, crap. Well... about saving that one office building. I don't think we're going to succeed in that, and crap.
No wonder.
Well... Wait, is this the one where she just runs,
Let
or...
me teach you what happens
Shoot.
to those who oppose Crest.
I mean, can I...
Raven, that's not an ARC registered AC.
Yeah, no crap. She's the one that shows up later if you... Okay, well, anyway.
Defense is damaged. Halting combat and returning to base.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's Red Star. But yeah, because of the fact that they wanted to do that whole gimmick where a lot of stuff changes as you go on, you know, you can, like I said earlier, just fail your way through it. You can fail upwards the entire time, and man, that is a lot of money spent on expenses, but eh. Do we... Let's see, Arena Ruin, we can do that, or we can do a test where... Yeah, no, I think we're just gonna go do Arena Ruin. This is the tank guy, isn't it? Heavyweight 2-leg that does the stuff with the thingy and the whatever. They are not to be underestimated. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll handle them the same way as everything else. Or possibly lose. We'll see. Either way, I got like 10 minutes that I can do things now, so... Hopefully at least some of these shots land. Oh, he's the linear gun guy. Right, I already hate him. Thanks. Anyone using the linear gun is an asshole. Like, it is one of those things where you can just kind of self-identify yourself as a terrible person every time they've had a linear gun in these games. Like, here you go, this thing only does heat damage, and it's total nonsense how well it tracks. Like, again, the thing... And we're gonna charge in just a second. Oh man, we just barely skirted that. Okay. Man, I hate linear guns so much. They're such nonsense. It's... Why would you ever use a flamethrower when you can use long-range heat artillery? You know? Like, it's so dumb. It's like, it's a laser gun, but it doesn't use any energy, but it's also just like a heat gun, so it just does everything at once. It's fine, you guys. It's totally fine. We should have it in every game from now on. There's no problem with it at all. Wait, are you serious? You're gonna... Okay. I mean, at least he's playing fair, I guess. If you didn't pick up on what happened there, he's not a cheating AI, so... When he ran out of his arm weapon, he was using his arm weapon on high heat, and then he was switching over to his back linear cannon, but he had to kneel down. Sure, we'll go do her, I guess. So this one is Red Eye. Or actually, is that Red Eye, or is this? Yeah, that's Red Eye. You got Red Eye, and then after this, I believe it's Genobi, and then I think it's the hallway Mega MT, and I forget what happens after that. At some point we go into a hole. Should have saved before this in case this is one of those failed, like, actual fail state missions. I don't think it is, but... Because this is one that I remember failing regularly. And yeah, despite being a light frame, obviously they will eat rockets for breakfast because these things just have no benefits in this version. Aside from not being affected by ECM, that's supposed to be their main selling point, so to speak. The heavier rockets might do a bit more here, but their firing rate is so ungodly slow they're not even going to bother. Like, you have to absolutely batter the Christ out of somebody with these things to really get anything to happen. And again, their selling point was heat. In earlier versions, and in this version I think the napalms might even be a hidden part, possibly, because they really wanted to make the linear gun the heat gun for some reason.
Danger. AP.
Well, she's also low. So if I can land one more shot like
I'm
that.
sorry, Shinobi.
Bye! That's totally fair. She blew me up twice. I blew her up once and it counts.
Target destroyed.
But that's okay. We got repaired by Corpo Daddy. Alright.
Mission objective achieved. System switched to normal mode.
Not really sure what her plan was here. She kind of has a high maneuverability AC that can't function in this environment. I know, let's challenge somebody to a fight in a rooftop with a bunch of divots that I get stuck in. Cool. Great plan. Great plan. What can possibly go wrong? It seems at this point like we probably should just retire, to be fair. Safeguard escape route, neat. Can we just do AC performance test? This should last a couple minutes. And it's that jumpy stupid thing. Yeah, we had an option to test this earlier, but now it's a retest. We did not test this thing earlier.
The test will begin shortly.
Yeah, you can build this thing, which is kind of neat. I'm mashing my shoot buttons. Please shoot. Thank you.
Engaging combat mode.
Like, he has some cheat properties, but you can mostly build this thing. This is supposed to be, they were remaking some AC-1 stuff, so that's what this guy's deal is. He's like an AC-1 type AC. That they used quite a bit. They're like these little jumpy, laser shooty, little whatchamacallits. And so I guess he was just sort of leftover assets, so they threw him into a mission. But if he could go ahead and maybe get bent or something, because I really do not have time. Really shouldn't have even started this one, to be fair. Pretty sure... I'm wondering if anybody will notice that this is, like, already part 4 of recording this. Alright. Alright, and pop y'all right about there. I guess most of the prediction shot nonsense still works.
50%.
But this is why I like to use these high efficiency boosters, because you can do stuff like this where you're just like him, like skating back and forth a bunch. It does cause a lot of energy burn, but it is technically a thing that you can do. I forget if these ones spark or not. I don't think so. And accidentally switch screens. Beautiful. One thing that is interesting is that the hand rockets actually have a different firing speed than the other ones. That is to say, they travel a little bit faster.
This concludes the test.
So you can kind of do stuff like that where you can snipe a little bit better, just sort of like hip fire it. Okay. Where's that concluding happening? Thank you.
System switched to normal mode.
Alright. I'm assuming this is when we're getting close to, yeah, there's the mine, so it's mine part 1, mine part 2, Shinobi, Big MT, and, yeah, we're fully into the end game now. So, yeah, end game will have to be for the last part, and that'll be that. Okie dokie. I suppose it's time to do this whole thing where we continue on with this whole thing. So, next up is... what was this one? Attack the mine? Alright, whatever. Let's do the mine. Yeah. This is the one where you just show up and do the mine thing. I believe you can just fail all of these. This one, I want to say the first one is just you blow through the panels and you get to the very end and you get ambushed and then you leave. I forget if this is the one where you get a fight rimfire on the way in or not. I know for one of them you do. It might be this one. Hold on, suddenly forgetting controls again. As you do. Turns out trying to practice for a Nexus run on you know, PSP controls is not exactly gonna help improve anything whatsoever. But you know what? These things happen. Yeah, I'm like having a really hard time hitting this jellyfish. Oh, this is why you bring spreadies, by the way. There's like a lot of these things, like especially if you're using, you know, I really should be using the mids. I'm just gonna have a better time of it here. Oh, this one's time-based. I actually didn't realize that. It's Bully Life! Yay, he's interesting, or something. Yeah, I'm very dead now. Warning, AP no longer exists. Where the hell is he, anyway? I mean, it's real dumpster fire with an AC, to be fair, but I definitely I'm having a bit of a rough time here, but it's fine, whatever. We'll get him in the sequel. Well, I already got him in the sequel. Yeah, the Rocket only last Raven run, which technically I think that's supposed to be his son that inherits his nothing left of this AC, but whatever. Either way, in that one, he's, I would say he's definitely a lot harder. This one's kind of, his show up in this one's a little bit iffy. He just kind of runs around in circles. But oh well. Again, the point is to finish the run, not win every single friggin' fight immediately. As you do, also it might help if I actually have my controls set up right. Namely, not having, like, I'm literally doing like a keyboard on the other end, or rather, the buttons on the other end of a keyboard, which is kind of like jutting out, while trying to remember the controls and whatever. You can't skip this cutscene, apparently. He has learned that if he's far away, I can't insta-snipe him. And pew! And he will, more than likely respond to that. And he's switched over to his larger spreadies, as he tends to do. Alright. Thank you for letting me know that you are a terrible person with that linear gun. Yeah, this map is super annoying for Rocket only. And you may have noticed it did not see a whole lot of use when we were doing that run, even for situations where custom maps were allowed, just because of this crap right here that you go up and down slightly, and then you get interrupted by, you know, crap like the linear gun, where it's like, oh, you get stunned a little bit, also you get heated up a little bit. Great weapon. Great design. Love this thing. Anyway, so what ends up happening is that you go up and down slightly, and then the AI loves to hide on the other ends of those slight up and downs, and it's super irritating because it's like if you're doing anything other than a rocket run, it means absolutely nothing. But if you're running a rocket or blade build, it just screws up your aiming for absolutely no benefit. But you know what? It is what it is. Oh well. Man, oh man, oh man. Linear guns are annoying for this exact reason. It's like, if you're doing a machine gun build, by this point, he should just already be overheating. It's like, all this is doing is, like, if you're running manual fire, you're getting, you're basically constantly getting thrown off your aim. Yes, yes, I know. Because this build suffers from stun guns, which absolutely was in no way something that we saw a whole bunch of during the Javelin AI runs a couple years ago. Freaking giving everybody a stun gun, what a dick move. But yeah, no, with rocket builds, it's like anything that has any knockback or stun to it has a tendency to screw you up, which is why there's usually a big emphasis on avoiding certain things. Let's see, attacks bloody bone. This is the rest of your defense force. What about you? Are you... Yes! Yes, come cover my expenses for free. Not about to try hard this mess. We're just doing a casual rocket run. You know what? Again, minimum Achiever Jones. That's what we're going with over here. I totally forgot to even rename this thing to the Starch Diet. We're gonna rename it like 3 missions before the end of the game. Yeah, and like, I'm accurately aiming right at his face. So, can I, like, stop mashing these 2 buttons right next to each other? Mash, 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 mash. There we go, he's finally done talking. Switch over to the middies. We get our kind of diagonal shot type situation going. There we go. And it's so nice when they don't, like, stun lock you at a distance. It's cool. It's great. And he sticks out slightly from the background, so I can actually aim at him. Yeah, I think that's the other reason that the last Raven one just sucked so much, because there's so many backgrounds where they kind of actively start giving them camouflage to some degree, which just kind of feels, again, like a bit of a dick move. Like, it makes sense from a, it makes sense that they would try to keep themselves safe and protected and whatever, but nobody relies on, like, friggin' eye aiming at this point. Like, the whole point of rockets is that nobody bothers to use this setup. But either way.
The data collected should prove valuable.
Okay. You ending it at some point, or
Mission objective achieved. System switched to
awkwardly
normal
sitting waiting
mode.
for the thing to stop? Okie dokie, free money. And at this point, since under contracts, I'm sorry, did he get disqualified? Because, I mean, we could have already confirmed he was a terrible person by his choice of weapon, but it's fine, it's fine. It's okay. Not gonna say I told you so or anything, but it's fine. Okie doke, so, lock-on cancellation pulses, we probably should get that. Sight lock won't help us much. Turning ability would be nice, but this one just uses the braking ability one. Turning ability, I want to say, is one of the hidden parts for this one, because they can never seem to stick to one particular thing for that. Alright, whatever. Let's go for there. I forget, I don't think there's any additional lefty rockets aside from the napalms, which might be handy for the arena stuff. It's worth looking into, especially for a lot of the energy ones and whatnot. It's definitely worth picking them up. Probably finally pick up the big tube, and then finally from the back we should probably pick up all of those biggie spreadies, huh? For when the hell would we ever even use? I don't know. Whatever. We're just gonna pick them up because we can. It's freaking loaded at this point. Alright. Let's tab over to these. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Going on a shopping spree and all that. Get the spreadies, get the assaults, get the, they're not called hectos in this one. You know, the ones that are the hectos but not the hectos, but then we also gotta buy these a second time because reasons. So, we'll go ahead and do that. Probably go check if there's those inside rockets yet, the inside napalms, that is. Extensions, probably get the extra shields at this point. The only ammo extenders are the rifle mags on the shoulders, so that's not going to help us much. Extra energy, you know what, this actually could be a useful tool at some point. So we got decoys. There are no... Yeah, okay, we do finally have inside napalm rockets, good. Mini rockets, that's just the mine dispenser, decoy dispensers. It's probably not a terrible idea to get a basic dispenser, maybe... Yeah, I'm trying to think when we'd ever need a full dispenser, unless we end up going and doing the optional disc and all that. Yeah, let's go ahead and finally give this thing a name. It's about dang time. Only way at the very end of the run at this point. But, you know, better late than never, I suppose. It's technically way lighter of a brown than before, but it's fine. Honestly, it's not even anything. Like, when it comes to the color of this thing, it's constantly switched. Do we want the heavier weight? I mean, I guess. I've never really gone through the full extent of the ammo on those things. Although the faster firing could be kind of handy. I'm thinking maybe we keep a hold of these. These are about the same. And these are significantly heavier. Like, maybe we keep a hold of the 36s and then we swap these out for the small assaults. Or the spreadies, maybe. Because we're going to have a lot more cases where we have to hit out helicopters and such, so might be worth doing that. Probably swap out for the inside napalms, and then... I mean, it's going to chunk it up a little bit, but I think it'll be pretty good. Supply depot, and then we got defense. Is this the one where you're, like, sitting on a coastline, or... Oh, yeah, no thanks. I'm good. That's alright. We'll go for literally whatever the hell this is. I do not want... I don't like tube maps. Just not a fan of those. And...
Main system.
Alright, one moment, though. Alrighty, it is now 2 days later. I don't know what the hell's going on. Let's do this. Something's happening. That much is clear.
Defeat all targets and secure the
Oh, is this the one where you can... I think this might be the one where you can get Jacko killed, maybe. Possibly. Looks very much like it. Here, let's get this guy. Did I ever end up equipping the spreadies? I did. Okay, got spreadies on there. What else was I even doing here? Yeah, this definitely looks like the Jacko one. Also, I still have zero clue why anybody would ever want this facility. It's like in the middle of nowhere. Basically made of nothing. It must have just amazing tanium all over the bottom of it or something. Alright. As apparently they're firing generator jammers or something, which I guess are a thing in Nexus and I just don't remember. But whatever. But this is why spreadies are generally pretty lackluster. It's like blasting away at everything. Oh, apparently that was that. We actually did good. You know, first time for everything. This actually might be the one where there was a part in the back of it, and I want to say it was somewhere to the left there, but honestly it doesn't matter. We already got pretty much every part that we can use for the run. So good enough. You know what? I'll take that. Before immediately realizing that I kind of got to go to another thing. Anyway. Oh well. Oh well. What do we got next? Yes, yes. Late night noises. And it's some kind of base. Oh, that's the one where you're flying over a bunch of stuff in the desert, I believe. There were some new parts. Let's go see if those new parts are anything interesting before I go and handle that thing that I just remembered I was meaning to handle instead. Any new lefties? By any chance? I mean, there are shields. I probably should consider picking up some of them. It's not like we're going to lose any money or anything, but, yeah, nothing there. What about you? Any rockety type of dealies? Nope, just go straight to those. Anything rocket-wise for you? No. Well, I guess you don't have a whole lot for us then, do you? Freaking Mirage. I mean, if it's Mirage, maybe... Are the extended napalms back? Or are those only coming back for, what is it, Last Raven or whatever? Well, actually, no. The extended napalms are also in Formula Front, aren't they? So they probably should be in Nexus. It's mostly Nexus parts for Formula Front. Man, those textures look shiny. Anyway. Alright, anyway, actually, I probably should go handle this other thing real quick. Man, that was the shortest part of the bunch so far, wasn't it? Well, at least this one's more obvious than the others were. Alrighty, back to it. So, okay, I want to mention one thing right here. The music never changes for most of the games in the Armored Core series, but there was a really cool moment that Last Raven did around this point, and it was one of the few times where I legitimately was thinking, like, man, this is actually a really legitimately, like, striking moment in Last Raven, because, like, so much of that game was kind of iffy in terms of really getting its ideas across, but around this point, you went from the upbeat garage music to this sort of like kind of thing, like once you were getting to the last few hours of the day, which they never do explain how the hell you managed to just go all the way back to your garage, get completely repaired, and go all the way back within the next hour. They must have some crazy mechanics, because I can't even get like a freaking oil change done in that time. Anyway, moving on. So, attack base, okie dokie. I think this is the one where you just shoot at a bunch of stuff in a base. But yeah, I've always really, really loved those kinds of details. Like, XCOM EU did that too, where just partway through you go from your usual geoscape music to this just way darker hum kind of situation. Alright, I forget if I'm supposed to actually target everything here or no. Apparently that is a yes. Okay, so, immediately, due to the fact that there are jellyfish here, we're going to have a problem with that. Can I even hit this one over here? I probably should be switching over to the spreadies, to be fair. Yeah, because he's just going to keep dodging these. Like, they're just going to keep going slightly sideways. Keep thinking that, like, one future episode, like, oh, they should have been aiming where I'm going! But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they are, to at least some degree, just programmed to, not to dodge as much as just, like, stay vaguely out of your lockbox. But it's probably going to be your best bet, because they're just going to go somewhere random. Yeah, realistically, this ain't going to happen. Alright, we're out. Show up, fire randomly, leave. It's alright. I'm good. We're not dealing with jellyfish. That's fine. This one's not mandatory. I could do the rest of it and then just fail it anyway, but oh yeah, it's located in the desert, you say. No way. Apparently everybody knows this. Pursue Navis remnants. I mean, to be fair, we tried sparing these guys. They seem to be going out of their way to to not survive. So this is fine. I think this is another one of the ones that's not mandatory. It's just like, I think they're all just hanging out in a canyon because that's what people do in this series when they're out and out. Alright, you got one snipey over there. We'll deal with that first. I mean, I guess everybody wants Navis gone just because these freaking snipey MTs, to be fair.
Hold your position.
What positions? They're just everywhere.
We know the terrain. The advantage is ours.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, probably switch over to the mids real quick. As I'm hitting the completely wrong buttons. There's definitely no downsides whatsoever to coming back repeatedly at different times, and just kind of hoping you remember the controls, you know. So yeah, that's perfectly normal. This is fine. As we just launch a small country's worth of ordnance at this tiny little thingamajig that. Like, I'm trying to figure out whether they're altering their elevation, if the hitboxes are tiny, or if it's just a matter of like, actually hitting the wrong thing, but I don't know. These things feel like they're tethered to an exact elevation. It could be a few things. Because I don't know if there's... I don't believe there's a slight variance in their elevation. It could be, but I'm not really positive on that. Unfortunately, these snipey MTs are crazy, Oh, well, he's gone. Hey, buddy. How's it going way down there? It's, okay, what are we firing from? Left? Okay, we can hit him from left. Funnily enough, if you try to land down there, you fail the mission. So that's just some bullshit right there. Why am I not using the spreadies? I don't know. Why? Because they never hit anything, that's why. They're like strictly spray and pray. Emphasis on the prey. Alright, I believe these are the ones that are just kind of around the corner somewhere, or maybe they're that way. I don't see anything moving that way, so we're gonna just assume this way. Maybe. I'm getting a little bit cautious here, because some of these will just let you slide right off and die, so I'm kind of taking a bit of a second instead of just kind of YOLOing it here. But if I recall correctly, they might be in the other direction, because this map is the same one that you're supposed to do several different missions, so its zone is kind of big. Yeah, nothing's shooting at us from here, so we're just going to go in the other direction, and or assume they fell off, and we got to find them where they are. But this is one of those reasons that, unlike most of the other runs, I have insisted on actually having a proper radar. Because, yeah, there's a lot of cases in Nexus where just the enemies are somewhere. Good luck with that. They just went and just, you know, friggin' fell down a hole somewhere, and good luck. Alright, I think this might be one of the problem cliffs. Thankfully it wasn't. And now we go this direction. It's a fantastic direction. So many wonderful directions to go in. I always love that line from MDK Armageddon. Like, it's a game you never hear anything of, but it's got so many wonderfully quotable bits in it. This was like just when the PS2 was really starting to take off, so like one of the first introductions to the game is like, here you have an analog stick, it lets you move in 8 wonderful directions. Like, I just love this optimism. Alright, there's one of the snipies off in the distance. Thank you, that's alright. I didn't need AP anyway. I'll just let that melt. Oh yeah, right. Suppose we probably shouldn't be using those. It's fine. We're... Basically, all the money we've built up to this point is strictly for the purpose of making sure that we can afford freaking missing every shot. Alright. There is no debt game over in this one, I don't believe. Could be wrong on that. Most of the AC games do have a debt game over of some description. I know at least 2, 3, and... Actually, no, not 3. 3 doesn't have one. Though realistically, in 3, if you manage to go in debt, something went very wrong. Like, Silent Line, maybe? But mostly the problem there is just you can't afford stuff at that point. But, I don't know. I don't know. And for anyone that's ever wondered, like, why exactly the rocket projectile is so huge but the tube is so small, it's because, realistically speaking, you need the giant projectile to even hit a dang thing as it is right now. It's like, it's intentionally clunky. Skill gap between Ravens evident, no way. Okay. Raven participation is playing a large role in the conflict, and it seems though Mirage currently has the upper hand. For whatever reason, the Ravens that Mirage employs far outclass their Crest counterparts. I mean, alright. Okay, Reserve Force. I forget what that is. Invade Warehouse. That sounds doable. Which one's this one? Is this the one with the... you get parts? I mean, just in case those parts happen to be... Oh, I don't know, extended napalm rockets or something? We'll go ahead and do that. Also, realistically, given what we're looking at later in the game, I maybe should consider upgrading to some heavyweight arms. I'll switch over to spreadies for the time being. Oh, wait, it's this one, isn't it? Shoot. Right, whatever.
All units, hold your position.
They're not really holding very much. They're mostly swiveling side to side aggressively. But yeah, we'll just use the light spreadies for these because I doubt we'll see too much aerial stuff. I thought for a second that this was the other map. There's one of the warehouse maps that's like, it just goes on forever. That I remember constantly having this issue of pretty much failing that one every time I attempted it as a kid because I would just run out of ammo. But I want to say that was one of the attack the base missions. And I'm hitting D-pad down. This is not the correct version for that. Alright. Really? Okay. Good. Good. Yeah, it's good to be an underachiever in Nexus, because they will never give you bonus objectives if you're just, like, barely making it through all the time. It makes it a very interesting challenge run game. And honestly, thematically, like, I know it sometimes seems weird that it's got this constant, for many of these games, and especially, like, Silent Line was particularly notable for this, although Silent Line, it was a bit more aggressive about, trying to trick you into playing well. For Nexus, it feels very appropriate, like, just because, again, the whole theme of this series is just, you're a corporate drone. You're just trying to get by in this universe. You're not the protagonist. You're not anything special. You're just here. You work here. This is your workplace. This is your job. This is not, like... Oh... Shoot. Alright, yeah, you know, we might be able to hit that from here, actually. Pop. There we go, that worked. Alright, and what about you? Do we gotta do anything fancy to hit you, or do we just sort of... kind of fly... There we go. No idea where he was, but he was somewhere in that direction, and we got him, so good enough. But yeah, no matter what AC you make for Nexus, that's another one of those things that I always kind of liked about this one, that for many of the other games in the series, like... In 2, you'd usually make a way faster one. In 3, you'd usually make one that's a bit more kind of versatile and everything else. In Nexus, like, no matter what way you slice it, whatever AC you make will have a tendency to just wind up looking different than the other ones. So what do they give us exactly? Following AC parts. Baboon arms? Are you calling me a baboon? Because I'll have you know that's not terribly inaccurate. Alright, blow tanks. Oh. They reused this one for Last Raven too. It's kind of shocking that they reused like half the dang missions from Nexus for Last Raven. They just kind of made them shittier.
Main system. Engaging combat.
Like, I know it sounds like I talk down on Last Raven a lot, and that's because I do.
All Navy's forces.
I think this is the one with the super tough tanks, because the music definitely sounds right. So yeah, 3 mids each is going to be problematic. I mean, like, our defense is good for this, but I'm having a hard time lining up shots because they're stunning with every hit. Alright, fine. I'll get a bit more aggressive with it, I suppose.
Enemy wave.
Yeah, this is definitely the one with the several waves.
Warning. AP at 50%.
Shoot. And I know it seems a bit odd.
Fourth enemy wave.
Fourth enemy wave, we just got the second one. The hell you mean fourth?
Fifth enemy wave.
Well, I mean, what? Are you just counting them all as one wave or something? Love how I've gone through this entire run and multiple recording sessions. I still have not fixed this button issue, but I have figured out that you can just press the button a second time. So that's nice. Alright. Napalms are going to do pretty much piss all here. At least the kind of downward trajectory on these ones could work. If I just kind of bait them into right here. Oh, well, okay, what do I have left? I have hand rockets left. I accidentally purged my my good rockets. Because I was trying to purge my lefties to get a little bit more speed. But the commands are very similar, and if you're using the PSP commands, it kind of makes you purge the other one too. Muscle memory definitely working against me here in more ways than one, because in a lot of cases you may have noticed I'm firing lefties instead of adjusting the camera. It's because it's circle is camera down in the PSP version, although I think we might be good here. There we go. Now we're getting back to it. I can beat basic things. Oh yeah.
One target remains.
Oh. Is this the one where that one target left is just some random AC somewhere? Well, I guess charging ain't great, but at least we know where he is. Alright. And in case you're curious about napalms and things, MTs do not have a heat score. Like, they'll take some residual damage from the fire itself, but they don't have an overheating score.
No enemy
So those will
forces
functionally do, like, 100 damage, if that. And then
Mission objective
pretty much cost us the
achieved.
equivalent of regular rockets.
System switched to normal mode.
Love the music in this game. Alright. Feels good. 127k for something they probably could have handled in a lot of an easier way. Destroy remaining, because there's apparently even more. Destroy mine power systems. This is a plot mission. Okie dokie. Let's do that. Plot is good. Mostly, anyway. It depends. The plot are also largely incoherent in a lot of places, but this is fine.
Main system.
So what we do
Combat mode.
is we ignore anything plot related, and we go ahead and go through the one door that doesn't have a red symbol on it. So there we go. Go down here, and we got night vision, so that's handy. And we're not tempted to go fire at anything, because we can't tell where anything is. So just go ahead and go this way.
Night vision mode. Engaged.
And then there's a little vent over here somewhere.
One target
You
remaining.
want to just maybe not, buddy? Thanks. Cool. This weird samurai-looking robot thing that they love recycling for so many of these games. I guarantee he's only here because of the bit where they remade AC1. Anyway, yeah, there's little vents, and that doesn't seem like the right door. I think it's this one right here. And so yeah, you blow vents, and then you go to the next one. In and out, you know, quick adventure, all of that kind of thing. Alright. Unfortunately, you do got to be pretty quick about it. In fact, let's split over to our spreadies. To further emphasize this point, at a certain point, maybe don't turn off our night vision. Alright, there it is. So I was trying to turn on my map, but for some reason it's mapped to a different button than I would expect it to be. Alright. And that should be that.
Target destruction confirmed.
And then we just evac and we're done here.
Reinforcements are on the way. Get to the surface before they arrive.
Get to the chopper! But we can already fly! Get to it anyway!
Good work, Raven.
That's okay. It ends immediately upon landing, so you're just kind of staring up your AC's butthole. Oh well. Appreciate the crispy flat graphics. This scene would look a lot more dramatic and impressive by the time they get to 4th gen. And probably just confusing and grainy by the time they get to 5th, and then who knows what happens with 6th. Either way, low expenses, high reward. Loaded for being a good little corporate lackey. Alright, missile outpost, OAE invasion, and what do we got here? Arena ruin? Okay. What is that, the octopus guy? Oh no, it's heavy guy again. Okay. We can deal with that. Especially because we got those napalms I never bothered to use. I suppose we should probably bother using them. Although he's a heavy, he probably has some pretty decent cooling, but we'll find out. At least one of those hits, and he's guarding. Yeah, I'm like thoroughly convinced there's something going on with my emulation and graphics and such. There we go, got him with the napies. Really need to keep remembering that the hand rockets have 2 shots in them. It's one of those things that I keep forgetting after all the 3rd gen stuff. Yeah, the napalms didn't do very much. We're going to need to apply multiple, probably. And I love how they permanently seem to have this fear of the rocket meta that never came with all of these weird map decisions and stuff. Like, the maps were always flat up to this point. This is just so much extra work for them to put together. Again, for that meta that never came. It's like, nobody ever got good with rockets, really. Or at least not reliably good enough. There we go. We got him with some of these. I'm not even using the napalms right now. I'm just doing hard damage at this point. Yeah, this is going great. Honestly, I probably should be working on cooling a little bit. I mean, for all the jokes and memes about like Nexus being the one where you overheat all the time, honestly, it's not that bad. You may notice that was the one time we had a true overheat over the course of the whole run. I think at this point, we just kind of run him out of ammo. Especially if he's going to hold still like that. Not that it appears to matter. Yeah. Sure, just kept dodging to the right. Oh well. It's fine. We can take a loss every now and then. Moving on. Progress is getting made. And I have until this cup of coffee is done, and then I gotta get back to other things. Either way, I got her 23k. Alright, what do we got next? Missile outpost and OAE. Alright, let's see. Remove base defenses, defeat all MTs. I think this is the one where Jacko can show up, possibly. Like, I think it's either... I think there's, like, 3 places where he can show up, if I'm not mistaken. Because, again, a lot of this stuff is somewhat dynamic. Somewhat, anyway. Oh, shoot, I can't see a dang thing. Hey, night vision. How about working? Alright, I'm gonna assume I'm shooting at the right stuff here. There we go. Got that guy. If it moves, we shoot it. Alright, are you friendly? You are. Okay, this is the one. Yeah, this is the one where they've got their vertical missile little launcher dealies all over the place. Alright, I love that these, that a lot of these, kind of like special forces MTs have their own theme music. It's cool. Like, this is, like, in general, the Nexus theme. It's just those are always the ones that end up showing up, you know? It's not just these ones, but those little walking ones from earlier and everything. It's just nice. And yes, I am firing vaguely in their general direction for same old, you know, target acquisition issues as before. Because that's another one of those reasons that, for AC3, it was just dramatically easier to see stuff. And then they started going crazy with all the weather effects this time around. But this works, because they're getting fired upon the whole time, so realistically, as long as I hold them at bay, we're good. Eventually those MTs will get overwhelmed, then it'll be a bit more of a problem. The giant purple flashy bullshit is, you know, obviously not really helping my eyes any. So, there's that. Actually, come to think of it, I wonder if we can kind of use these napalms as a marker. How long does it last in this one? Not that long. It's the same as always. I don't know why I thought it would last a little longer, but whatever. That'd be kind of neat, you know, if you could use it as a sort of paintball type of thing. It's like Monster Hunter this mess, you know?
Warning. AP at 50%.
Yeah, trying to see better. 2 targets remaining? No? I think that was just some random thing I shot at in the background. It may not have even been an MT. Not sure. I mean, I don't know exactly when it came out, but I almost feel like this is kind of what inspired Steel Battalion to a degree. Because, like, when they did Steel Battalion, this was largely part of it, that there was just so much chaos going on that you couldn't tell what was happening. And yeah, that was more of, like, a kind of alternate World War II kind of setting. But, this whole not being able to visually identify what's what type of thing. I feel like like the same dev that kept getting rockets nerfed every time that they came out. They're just sitting there being really good with rockets, and they're like, fine, we're just gonna make a whole game just to mess with you. At this point, you're just asking for it. I can't see shit. Alright. Are you the last one? I don't know. What do we got left? We got 15 napalms, and we got 34 middies. I think we're good. This is probably the last guy. I'm not seeing any fire from anywhere else. Might be some walkers on the other end of the map or something, but this looks like the last guy. At least they lost their ability to fly since Silent Line, so there's that.
At 10%.
There we go, got him. Is that everyone?
Target destruction.
Alright, cool. Pulled it off. Nice. Yep, congratulations. We have saved this entire oil canister. You're welcome. Oh, and that truck over there. We've saved 1 container and a truck. You're welcome. Your real estate value remains 0. God, seriously, this base is the most comical thing about this game. Why the hell does everybody want it? Special destruction, that's all we're losing for the fact that there's nothing left there? Alright. Scorched Earth, I guess. Let's see. Attack Excavation Team, and Ambush Crest HQ. So that's a triple AC fight, which, I mean, I know one's a light, one's a medium, one's a tank, if I recall correctly. I mean, attack excavation, if I recall, is let me at least read that one and see what that one's all about. Let me go take a look. What's the deal here? I know this one's plot relevant. I can't remember why. Remove escort units, destroy all excavation team escorts, will increase your reward depending on the number of helicopters. Oh! Alright, y'all can screw yourselves. I'm going here. Whatever, I'll take the triple AC fight over trying to hit a helicopter, thanks. So yeah, there's the light snipey guy, there's the medium guy with the mini Sawa, and God, that is such an AC3 looking AC. He's so chunky, I love it. But yeah, the tank is probably going to be... I realistically don't even think we have the ammo for this, but we'll give it a shot, see how it goes. Because you can kind of get these guys stuck a little bit. If you fight these guys separately, one way to do that is just to go this way. Which, if you're wondering if you can run them out of ammo, yeah, you totally can. But we're going to get completely shredded in the meantime, because they just immediately have shots on you. Because, you know, Nexus doesn't understand how ambushes work. We're ambushing those guys! He gets ambushed instead. Why? I think you got that backwards there, detail of the FCS, or computer head thing. It's like, they got a sniper rifle, you want to do close range combat. The hell are you talking about? Alright. Let's see if we can just... We'll just do the, the AC3 parry method. I guess he ran out of his, shots at this point. See, the weird thing about rockets is that you got a little bit of aim adjust that happens, and it's weirder than you'd think to actually hit stationary targets. Like, a lot of times whenever something's predictably moving, it ends up being a lot easier to hit than if it's just standing still. Alright, so, now that they've fallen down in opposite holes, let's see what we can do here. Prefer to deal with this guy first. And I don't know if the third guy... Okay. So I think it's possible if you do bad enough, the third guy never shows up. Which is what I'm going to be banking on right here. I'm just going to use napalms on him, see if I can burn him out of his energy Sawa thingy. This little mini Sawa's a bit of a dick weapon in this one. Although we got the angle on him. That's pretty rare. Ah, crap. It doesn't seem to be flying very much. For some reason, my lefties don't want to cooperate right now. There we go. If he wants to stick to the left side, we'll hit him in the left side too. Alright. Alright. So are we getting the third guy? We are getting the third guy, okay.
Watch it, Raven.
I don't want to watch it, I want to run away from it.
They've sent in another AC.
Sure
Expose
did.
it immediately.
And yeah, I love how they give you that, how they basically give you a little news thing, like, hey, there's a massive skill gap, and then you get here and it's like, wow, these, these guys absolutely suck. But this is the missile guy, though. That's a problem. Yeah, that part is accurate this time around. Alright. Although, realistically, any shots whatsoever will help in this situation. If we can burn him out of his stuff, that would be great. Because he's got stuff for every range, but we can just burn him out. Realistically, that'll probably end up hurting him more than anything direct that we got. Yeah, that's a shame.
Defense is down.
Oh well, is he looking at least sparky? No, I'm assuming he's probably at least half or so. Because the others I'm pretty certain do come at least damaged. That guy doesn't. Oh well. Oh well, you know. It happens. Still got paid though. Alright, you look like a story mission. Let's see, Kisaragi facility. Or, you know, 345k for just going and hitting this guy with a freaking sweet looking logo. And he's a hover, and we got napalms, so, you know, 2 + 2 equals, it's almost like hovers aren't very good in late 3rd gen. Alright. So, he should be completely over... Oh, that is a mistake, sir. Yeah, that's... I'm sorry, that's gonna be curtains, buddy. This guy acts a lot like Principal in... Like, I know Principal is in this one, I'm just saying he acts more like Principal than Principal does. Honestly, it's kind of impressive that he can still keep operating right now. I want to watch the replay to see what his heat situation is, because he's definitely burning, he's definitely overheating. His forced cooling must be insane.
Warning. ADP at 50%.
Alright, this guy must be built to burn. Alright, definitely should be, like, well past the point that I should have been employing decoy pods, but screw it.
Danger.
Yeah, bummer.
ADP at 10%.
I'm gonna keep laughing at hovers and get my ass kicked by him all the same. Alright. Yeah, what the hell is your cooling situation, man? I gotta see what's going on there. Do I get the replay? Show me replay. Yes, I need to see that replay. I mean, again, progress made all the same. Just want to see what that replay is. Because that's got to be some pretty impressive cooling numbers on this guy. Alright. Oh, he's OPI. Okay. He's cheating. Alright, I don't feel as bad now. Yeah, those napalms aren't even tickling him. That's... Never mind. This dude's completely cheating. By the way, for any that somehow watched this far that are unfamiliar with what the hell's going on right now, so if you see squares on the radar, that means they're running Human Plus, aka OPI. Or it basically was a just thing you unlocked in certain games, and then in other games it became a part called Optional Intensify. And yeah, it just basically means infinite cooling, energy, everything. But yeah. That's that. Dude's hacking is the thing. Alright. And basically by Last Raven, those are the only ones left. Like, everybody else gets taken out, minus, like, 1 or 2 ACs that actually don't cheat. Everybody else is just doing that all the time. Where it's just, like, literally being on fire does not heat them up. But it's fine, because we got promoted anyway. How? Anyone's guess. Alright. Excavation team and facility. Alright. I guess we'll do... Sure. Because it sounds like an easily completable with minimal effort kind of thing. Hopefully. We'll see in due time. Right, so...
Take out all targets.
I mean, all might be a bit of a tall ask. I'm gonna go with some. Oh yeah, it's the one where we fight multiple of these guys. I mean, they mostly just hop around. Also, for later on, for one of the Phantasma remakes, they reuse these guys, and a good chunk of this map, they just kind of make it all snowy instead of deserty. Because it's technically more of an MT that looks like an AC, to be fair. Because they also do not heat up, and they also do not have energy and all of that.
Warning. AP at 50%.
Conveniently, I think we're getting paid extra for all this stuff in the background that we're hitting on accident. See, it's intentional. We're just multitasking. I'll switch over to the middies. Might be a little bit easier. As we get that diamond pattern instead of going side to side. Oh, this guy's only a couple shots. Yeah, there we go. Alright, where are the flappy guys at? And we seem to be switching over to Last Raven helicopters at this point, because they are flying a bit different. Oh, I hate that so much. Like, it makes sense, but I also hate it so much. I got one of them.
Danger. AP at 10%.
Because, like, it's one of those things where, like, it... On one level, it makes sense, but on another, it's like you're literally only punishing people doing this kind of run, you know? And you can't really get away from them because they will adjust their speed to be right next to you. So we're basically screwed here and just firing randomly right above our head, and it's... yeah. A bit of a bummer. And again, it's cool from a development perspective because they're like, look, everyone's getting experience at this point. They know this is about their only safe spot. But again, in 90% of situations, it would make more sense, not even 90, 99% of situations, it would make more sense to just leave. Because even though that is a bit of a blind spot for the AC and stuff like that, it's, like, everyone's running lock-on stuff. So there's that. Anyway. Alright, which one's this one? Oh, it's the one where you just shoot down. Okay. This is the guy that just beat us in the arena a little bit ago. We're just gonna basically assassinate him instead. It's a total dick move, but I always kind of love this one from a lore perspective.
Destroy the transport helicopters before they clear the region.
Enemy AC spotted. Take evasive action.
They'd never actually take any evasive actions.
The resistance force stole an AC when they captured the transports. They must not escape with it.
Okay. You'd think this would be the perfect weapon for this, but, like, you know. And you might notice right here, this is one of those things where earlier it feels like there was a little bit of fudgery going on with the ranges, like whether certain things were technically bigger or smaller than they technically should be at that one like rooftop mission. Because you can tell we're
We have to drop the AC.
there we go.
Target destroyed.
Yeah, I think if you don't blow that up, you have to fight it.
Mission objective achieved. System
But yeah, in that one where you're shooting a bunch of stuff down over a rooftop, I'm assuming they're probably way smaller than they really are, and they're just actually way closer than they really are, because you can tell in that one, like, the rocket range does not go that far. And I doubt they individually adjusted the values for every weapon for that one particular thing, so I'm assuming it's like a visual trick there. Alright, investigate phenomena, clear out forces, or go fight that principal guy I was talking about earlier, who incidentally I believe is one of the few that actually, yeah, I think they might be one of the few that don't actually cheat. We'll double check this in the replay, but I know that they do, at least in Last Raven, roast really easily. There we go. Still running the same kind of build, I see. They still can get you pretty good with those verticals, though. Like, hovers and verticals definitely do a pretty good job combining together. something. I don't think it was the napalms, though. That time I did. Okay, so he's definitely burning. So it took about 2 napalms, so I'd be willing to believe that's just high cooling and not cheating, but we'll find out. He's burning entirely, deciding to... No, he's... Yeah, he just overboosted through an overheat. Yeah, that doesn't sound legit unless he's got crazy high cooling. Yeah, those verticals are insane in this version. And really, I should just be running decoy pods. There's no reason not to. Honestly, these napalms suck, but, you know, it feels bad not to use them. This is why everybody runs decoy pods, because it's like you're basically nullifying something that's just going to eat all of your AP immediately. The reason that this kind of forward and overhead combo works so darn well is like your choice is either you dodge this one and don't have the energy to dodge the second one, or you just kind of dodge to the side and hope that you can dodge the other one back, and then you get shot with whatever else they have. It's a good strategy. It works. And I really should be swapping out for the other ones. Let's see. Search for survivors. Clear out Mirage. Investigate phenomena. I think... Is this... what I think it is? Alright. We'll do that in just a sec. I know one of these is gonna be a plot fail mission. Because I think, like, Giant MT is one of them, and then I remember there being one other one that was just kind of out of the blue. It was like that, Genobi, the final mission, and just like one of these rando ones. I don't remember. Are we seriously up to 43 already? God dang. Yeah, let's just go look at this one. And bear in mind, we've skipped over a ton of these. Like, Nexus honestly has an absolute ton of missions. Alright. I remember it being a bit shorter, though. Do we gotta fight this guy?
The source of the electrical discharge has been traced back to this area. Be prepared for high levels of signal interference. Destroy any resistance you encounter.
Alright, but who the hell is this guy, then?
We've located the source. Please destroy it as soon as possible.
Neat, but who the hell is this guy? He just kind of landed me next to some hostile dude. It's a very FromSoft move, to be fair.
AC brainwash identified.
I mean, alright.
The unit is equipped with a rapid-fire machine gun.
This guy looks like, what is it, Leandro in Last
Laser
Raven.
combat techniques are recommended.
No shit, computer. Like, this is what I mean by the detailed computer provides some of the most useless information, but it's just fun that it's there. Alright. I'm sure he can't take too much more of this. See, I say that, and then all of a sudden somebody with high shell defense shows up and they just tank 40 rockets, you know? Meanwhile, a machine gun build basically would have just plinked them into non-existence already. A frickin' hour ago. Not to even mention a energy shotgun build. Which, personally, my favorite build going into this, going into Nexus was essentially a quad with a laser cannon, energy shotgun, and the old 1000 MG. And yeah, technically the 1000 MG got really heavily nerfed in this version, but you know what? It's still the 1000 MG. It's a lot of DACA, you know? It's a lot of pew-pews per square inch of your robot. And... I mean, I assume at some point they gotta run out of AP, right? Like, it's hard to tell with all of the ECM jamming and stuff going on whether we're actually doing anything to them. Guess we'll find out if they burn. Because Like, in mission ACs still have energy counts and stuff. Though, given how he's flying, I heavily doubt this guy's not using OPI. And, you know, in many ways I wonder, like, I don't remember whether Nexus or Formula Front came first. I want to say Nexus did, because it just really feels like a lot of the ways that they handled OPI felt like they were an answer to the weirdly overpowered napalm rockets of Formula Front. But they might have just been two things that happened completely independent of each other. Not entirely sure on that. Oh, and if you're wondering why sometimes it's going to the left or right, I actually just realized I probably never mentioned, inside weapons will alternate fire between left and right. And normally you want to pay attention to the shoulder that you're firing from, but I'm trying to see this guy through all the particle effects, so that's not really happening. Alright, got a couple of handies left, that's about it. Run a little dry here. And I'm hoping whatever else we have to do here doesn't involve, you know, it doesn't actually involve doing anything else too serious, because it is strange to me that I completely don't even remember this mission.
At 50%.
Yeah, he's cheating, that's for sure. Because he can't fire that gun without kneeling. Yeah, he's smoking. Alright. One more and he's out of here. Well, one or two more.
Target destroyed.
Neat. Alright, so what's actually the thing here? Is automap gonna give us anything? Alright, it's just those things. Oh, you're joking. Alright, whatever. Well, I don't have the ammo to deal with you chuckle buckets right now, so if you could just stop messing with my aim, that'd be fantastic. Or if you want to assist, maybe. Okay, how much are these going to take? 2? Okay, well, they helped with one of them, so we know that. So we'll just have them help with this one, and we should have just enough to make this happen. And we're real annoyed if we have to deal with them, too.
Target destruction confirmed.
Alright. Alright, so we do have to deal with these guys, who are unfortunately looking to be a bit more dangerous than the actual AC that we fought earlier. Alright. One left.
Danger. AP at 10%.
Alright, good.
No energy sources detected. Area secured.
And there we go.
Mission objective achieved.
Bit of a weirdly stressful one that feels like they definitely could have handled it from a mile away. Like, considering they knew to this distance where exactly all this stuff was. But again, every time I keep thinking stuff like this, it always comes to mind that, yeah, realistically, in this universe, actually, let me double check something real quick, because it has been recording this whole time, that's good. In this universe, yeah, it totally does make sense to just never have any infrastructure, you just send in ACs instead when they're this cheap. Alright, what do we got? Anything useful? Walrus 2, alright, well, we don't need any, hovers. Okay, Flare Mirage, Search for Survivors. Okay, this is gonna be the mine, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, this is the one where you get chased out. So this is where the story stuff starts. So this is where the, basically the entire plot of Last Raven begins. You just sort of go in and there's just a cloud of death mosquito robots.
Engaging combat mode.
The entrances are locked. There should be another path that leads inside.
Yep, and that's where you're...
Proceed with caution.
See, it's kind of mean earlier that they shut off your AC before you have the option to go and search around this area. Because basically the idea is supposed to be like, oh, hey, you know, you blew out that entrance earlier and the doors are locked, so now you go in from that back entrance, you know? Also, thanks Night Vision for not bothering to turn on. That's cool.
Night vision mode engaged.
So then you show up and then there's like nothing left. All the MTs are just kind of knocked over and taken out and everything. It's like, what happened here? Oh no. It's so spooky. And then you get to the very end and they're like, infinite MTs. So I guess the internecine is just kind of under this thing or whatever. They just never quite figure that out for another couple games. Alright. Then you open the door, but you can't quite go that way. So then you continue on looking this way, and then... Is this where they blew it open? Yes. Alright. And they excavated this section, and... When do we get to run? Now we do. And death mosquitoes.
Keep moving. The area isn't secure. It
Open
doesn't appear
door.
as though there are any survivors.
Nope. This entire mission is a plot device.
Collect your AC.
Oh, right. This is that moment where the door's locked, so you gotta go back. Go back the other way. It's kind of mean, really, because they just kind of make you turn around and go through all of this again. Kind of makes sense, to be fair. And honestly, at some point you'd think at least somebody would have maybe put out a little bit of a radio notice, like, hey guys, you know, explodey MTs everywhere. Might be a bit of a problem. Somebody triggered yet another ancient security system. This seems to happen every week. Oh, we're going to pretend it didn't actually happen, right? Alright, cool. And yeah, this is one I always vividly remember from when I was a kid. It was like getting through this door where they got the dudes going sideways. Ended up getting knocked into charging. It's just a weirdly spooky situation. Alright, and thankfully since it's not AC3, they don't give you little nubs at the very top of that little exit vent so you don't get
Mission
stuck.
objective achieved. System switched to normal mode.
Ah, pretty looking skybox though. Alright. I think that's all I'm gonna have time for today. I'm getting so very, very close to the end though. Alright, okay, so next is Genobi, then it's probably Giant MT. So, yeah, next part should probably just be straight up the entire final blitz there. Like, it always feels like every one of these games just, like, wraps up with, just a big old mess of 3 missions. Alright, anyway, that will be that. This will all be in one part, though. Alrighty, it sure feels like go time. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Okay, so we got Genobi next. Dude's basically 2 cannons and a crap rifle. If you can evade his 30 shots from his cannons, his rifle is pretty near worthless. Thing's got like, I think like 150 rounds or something like that. Generally speaking, he tends to spam and miss with that thing a lot. Wow, emulation's going absolutely crazy for this one. So what I'm gonna do,
I'm a mercenary.
and
I'm used to betrayal.
yeah, he's this depressed Genobi basically. Like his corpo daddy threw him under the bus here.
Beat me
Oh.
if you can.
Oh, well, that would be a spam call. No thanks. Strategy's not going to work. But yeah, so basically the cheap route in this particular case, since I can't seem to avoid these freaking missiles, or avoid the not missiles, building is what I'm looking for.
The unit is equipped with a high
Anyway, I should have been counting these rounds is what I should have been doing. But
Opponent's combat style will vary depending on range to target.
it's not going to vary. It's going to be, he's going to shoot whatever big gun he has at any given time, and then pray he doesn't run out of bullets, and then he goes for blades. That's about it. That's his thing. He's got 2 weapons and a knife. Like, not really variable, if you really want to call it that. Yeah, hold on. Sorry, this is super weird, because, like, the way that I like to dodge does not work with the Steam Deck. Like, it just does not feel very comfortable doing it this way. I'm gonna have to find a better way of doing that, I think, in the future. But, like, just a different cord that isn't L-shaped, so I don't have to hold it at an angle, you know? But yeah. For now, I'm just gonna do the old, Javelin AI strategy. Alright, so he's probably at least halfway through his grenade rounds by this point. I'm already assuming this first one's probably a bust, because I just keep running into freaking buildings and crap. But yeah, thankfully it's mostly just showing off. Like, his AC is, it works for this spot. Like, it works when he hides above things and just fires away and whatever. And especially given that he's actually pretty decent about timing them when you're on your way down, but, like, in general, he kind of suffers from running into things, too, so there's that. Let's see, he's going to be about there somewhere, or not.
At 50%.
Like, I'm just going for the running him out of ammo strategy. I really need to go back with boosters that can actually move. As good as I love the low-efficiency ones. I mean, I guess we're still in this. It's just a combination of a lot of annoying factors. Especially, you know what? Now that I think about it, I can... There we go. Get the hell out of my way, keyboard. For a second there, I thought my little area where the keyboard slides out couldn't move any further. So I just kind of punched it. And it moved. So that's convenient. Well, he should be... Okay, while he's on the other end of that building, I'm actually going to stop right here to take a quick breather, get some of that ridiculously slower generating energy back. What I should be doing is not getting a different booster, which, cool insides of the building, by the way. What I should be doing is getting a better generator. Alright. I wish that you could use PS2 games on a PS4 or something, just like remote play that on a Vita. Maybe I should be more aggressive next time. He might be out of his cannon rounds, but I don't know. Honestly, I get no friggin' clue right now. It's very possible. But this is, in many ways, like the AC3 Barcata fight, where you can, like, pretty reasonably just run him out of his big guns. Just switch screens again. Good job, idiot. Still haven't rebound that button. Hitting a building, because this map is this map. There's a reason nobody likes doing multiplayer on this map. Anyway. But it does make rocket hits occasionally easier, because he has to pick a corner. And kind of losing a lot of my energy here trying to circle around these stupid buildings. Yeah, it definitely would have been pretty neat in this particular one if you could zoom your camera out a little bit. Maybe have an easier time getting past some of these frickin' buildings. Actually, probably instead of spread rockets, I should have gone for, friggin' assault rockets, because that would be really good here. Like, against any AC that runs a blade at all, assault rockets are going to be pretty solid. I mean, they're going to be solid one way or another. They're not turning energy by any means, which, now that I think about it, why haven't we ever had energy rockets? It's kind of weird. Feels like a thing that should have been occurring, you know? Like, I want to say I think there was, like, chemical rounds in Verdict Day, but, like, we've never really had, like, laser rounds, you know? Which, I mean, yeah, it's going to be in a shell, but, I mean, like, you got electric explosions out the wazoo. Shove a couple double A's and a spark plug in there, and I don't know if that's actually how it works, but whatever. I would assume that would do something, but it sounds funny. All right. Yeah, he's just got his dinky rifle still. Like, that thing is both... it's a mix of... Like, its description says it's accurate, but it's fairly inaccurate. Low ammo. Kind of iffy in the damage department. He's basically running the poster child for shitty rifles in late 3rd gen, but... Oh well. Alright. I'm out of my lefties, but... Not even gonna risk ditching any weapons at this point. And I'm very well aware of how many shots I'm missing here.
Danger. AP at 10%.
Yep. In fact, it might even be worth coming in with the heavy rockets now that I think about it. Probably switch out for the better side shields too. I just noticed I still haven't done that for some reason.
The relics of the past, they will never bring mankind prosperity.
No, that's pretty much the message of the series, although... I mean, he's at least 50%, I know that. But this is usually why, if you're running doing a challenge run in Nexus, you kind of want to just run him out. Because you can see I can pretty reasonably tank most of the shots from this thing.
Defense is damaged.
I don't think...
Open combat and returning.
Considering that you have a defense is damaged message, is this actually one of the proper game overs or no? Because the weird part is, him losing doesn't... Like, it's not like it would really necessarily change the story that much. Yeah, I guess you don't even have to beat him. It's fine. I think he just leaves. Yeah, they withdraw. Yep. Okay. Massive weapon, so massive MT. I'm gonna keep the spreadies on hand because I don't remember if you have to hit the stuff on the sides. It's like the deal with this guy is he's functionally a super boss. Oh, I forgot to save. Shoot. Well, whatever. We might get a second shot at Genobi. But he's a super boss that opens up very slowly.
Engaging combat mode.
Like, you just kind of dodge all of this crap,
Multiple
and then this door opens.
detected in close proximity to the target. There probably is power source. Please destroy them.
Now, question. Does it denote them? No. As far as I recall, you can either shoot this guy directly, or... Like, he's basically a Leviathan, but he's stuck in a hole. And I don't remember if you have to actually blow up the stuff on the sides, or if it just does extra damage to him, or what. But I remember always just doing this.
Warning. AP at
Yeah, you just shoot at him directly.
target destruction confirmed.
Okay. But yeah, the Leviathan is a super boss you see multiple times in Last Raven. And in no way is a uniform whatsoever. Like, this thing is supposed to fly, but it's stuck in its hangar, more or less. So this stupid thing comes back in Last Raven, and in what iteration, it's like it's a frickin' mechanical super god, flies in an area that you can't physically reach under most circumstances. You'll go out of bounds if you try to go too close, especially in the PSP version. And then, yeah, you got another version wherein actually that should be the final mission right there. There's another mission afterwards or not even afterwards, but just kind of like alongside that one, where they've properly finished deploying the Leviathan, and there's 3 of them, and like you just blow them up immediately because they have like a 10th of the health for some reason, and the undeveloped version is just a giga boss that everyone has trouble with. Like, you try to shoot it with rockets because it's a giant thing flying through the air and they can't even reach it. Okay. So this one is 9 ball. We're gonna need to make some adjustments. Alright, I mean, this... Let's go ahead and first of all check if there's any additional rockets. Like, these lefty rockets are fine. I don't need any other ones, really. But we're gonna check just in case. Probably pick up the shields just on the off chance, you know, that we kind of need them. For some reason, I just always like having those shields in the inventory. But let's go see. We got any new lefties? Probably no. Okay, so no new lefties. Any new righties? I don't think there even are any more righties full stop throughout the rest of 3rd gen. And I don't... Yeah, none of those come to mind. Generator, though. Do we have a generator that's going to be at least somewhat similar in terms of heat value? Because I'm thinking probably G91. That's I remember that always being the kind of gold standard of just kind of cheap and effective. And somehow I still haven't dealt with this, so in that case, give me more energy defense, because we're going to need that in a moment. As we deal with frickin' Laser Beam Jones. Yeah, G78, get the G91. Better output, better cap, better emergency cap. Slightly higher heat, but we can fix that. Except we can't. I mean, honestly, our heat is practically non-existent anyway. Just max it for output and call it good. Alright. Napalm rockets are some trash. These, just inside small rockets. Yeah, we're going to need as much ammo as possible. Let's see. 40 extra shell, 4, or how much is that? 5 extra energy defense, slightly lower coverage, significantly more weight. I don't even know why this has a energy drain value, but whatever. Spreadies, I don't think we'll want. Double 36s seem good to me. And out of curiosity, if I just go down to the lower shields, how overweight are we? Let's see, 63. How do we shed 100 pounds here? I mean, we could just completely get rid of those, but these are 20 extra rounds. I mean, we could just completely throw out our FCS. Save 14 pounds that way. It's not like actually pounds, but whatever. What if we... You have to sell it to untuned stuff. That part's not great. Yeah, that is way more weight, and we definitely don't want the baboon arms. I mean, the ultra lightweight core could do the job. Energy defense goes up, that'd be an improvement. And shell defense, we're basically, yeah, we're still taking a sacrifice on shell defense. Cooling goes way down, better option slots, better missile response, way worse heat issues. Or heat resistance, sorry. Yeah, no. I think we'd be better off just ditching these guys. Although, let's see. We can drop 70 pounds right there, and then if we do this, we're just barely on the line. Alright, there we go. It seems like a nice happy medium. We get our extra 10 rockets. Like, the reason that I care about those insides, by the way, is because we're actually going to use those exclusively for the story objectives. Because you got to do the story objectives first, and then you can deal with the other bits. Okay. Love how we've gone this whole way and I still have forgotten to get my my emblem back. Oh well. Alright. Destroy activation at all costs. Well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, that's already impossible. Because we have to kickstart a whole new game here. But what we will be able to do is just leave. So that's a thing. Alright. So there's only a few objectives here. So we need to... They call them control devices. They're like these big chunkular thingamajigs that I don't really know what they're controlling exactly. But they're right over here. Like big AC-1 9-ball looking things. Which, yeah, that's another thing where when I hear folks say, like, oh, yeah, no, the 9-ball never came back or did anything like that. Like, how is that not the computer from frickin', like, AC1? Is exactly the computer from AC1. Don't lie to me. Alright. And if you go that way, the door's locked, and so you gotta go out and you gotta go around. Alright. You don't go that way. It was somewhere off to the side, I think. Yeah, this way. So that opens up this panel, and then you get lasered a bunch. And you blow up that thing. And then you blow up that thing.
Gate lock released. Proceed forward.
You know, of all the weird gate lock mechanisms, but whatever. Now, that was supposed to be for both sections, so we'll just use the hand rockets for the rest of this. And honestly, I still don't know how the people behind, you know, the utter brilliance of the AC3 last boss and the kind of cool gimmick of the Silent Line last boss and, well, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, AC2 is kind of weird, and Another Age was just... that existed. But, like, you get the idea. I don't know how they came to this of all, you know, boss ideas. Because this is just super weird and out of left field. Blow the thing up, and then it's all powered down.
Construction confirmed.
And then it turns red, and then he's on.
Destroy.
Destroy.
Okay.
Special weapon detected.
Oh, he's special, all right. He's one special boy.
Analyze the target.
That is because it is made of bullshit. Alright, so here's what to do. You just kind of bait him out to a point where you can actually see him for one. Then just kind of hope to vaguely fire in his direction. Thankfully he does hover in place sometimes, but all the rest of the time he's zooming about all over the place. He's not, like, insanely durable or anything. 9-ball never is, but he's just really fast. Especially if you're doing something like this. And he's a glass cannon for the most part. Very literally in some cases. Normally, if you get yourself against a wall, you have a far easier time dealing with him, but he can be very funky, is the thing. And given that he's red, and this is a nice red background, we're mostly relying on radar to actually figure out where the hell he is, and the fact that he's shooting a bunch of lasers everywhere. He hops about all over the place. Come on. Controls, thanks.
Danger. AP at 10%.
Okay. Sudden grenades, not ideal, but this is workable. Like, I would say he was actually probably pretty close there. Plus side, we get to see this cool thing. Do you recognize this guy? He's got a model kit. Guess what? He doesn't ever show up anywhere else. And then Vengeful shows up. He's like, hi, I'm here too. And then those guys are doing their thing. And then, you know, you get what's-his-face, Perlman in the background with his war never changes. This guy over here is firing his linear gun like a machine gun, because of course he is. And, yeah. Super unclear what actually happens there. I guess he's just supposed to be having a really stupid last stand against a bunch of Special Forces MTs or something, but it's like, What does this have to do with anything? Okay, I've got what'll probably be a pretty stupid idea, but I wanted to try. So, essentially what we got here is a case where I've gone ahead and replaced the lefty rockets with the Bolton, or the Bonton, whatever, the Aegis. Anyway, point being, it gives a ridiculous amount of energy defense. Now, most of the stuff he fires is very high DPS, but generally speaking, not really too fancy on its own. So, what I'm figuring is a probably stupid crackpot idea where, essentially, when he gets into his just kind of sitting there phase, we just kind of tank more of it, you know? This shouldn't be draining too much. I forgot to actually put the thing that makes the shield do good, but whatever. Hopefully this will be fine. We've got a pretty decent amount of excess energy on hand, so we should be okay with just this. And then I figured we never get a chance to burn through all the rockets anyway, so this kind of setup should be just fine. So we're functionally just going to Kingsfield this mess and see how it goes, more or less. So, yeah, that's the plan. Now, I figure the shield will probably help out during the initial phase there as well, since obviously there's a lot of that type stuff going on. So, let's see. Last time I got out of this phase with 6,800. This time it seems to be a lot more plinky. Now, granted, it's only going to be protecting from the front, but this is going to be perfect when it comes to the main event there, which 9-ball apparently is fully just a mistranslation. It is supposed to just say unknown AC or something, and it's supposed to be like, oh, hey, that kind of looks like 9-ball a little bit. Hee hee ha ha, and then somebody was like, wait, that looks a lot like 9-ball. Somebody must have forgotten, and then they hit, they hit the name him 9-ball button. Alright. So. At this point, we go ahead and we just pop that thing real quick. Switch over to our main shots here. Go over to the corner and pray. He should spawn over there somewhere. Leave our shield down because they're really inconsistent over whether they actually let you use your, or let you keep your shields up or whatever. How well can we tank this? Extremely not well, actually. Actually, I'm a little bit surprised that it actually was not shooting that whole time, so that's not going to help us much. Alright, new plan. Alright. So, new plan is this. I just went for one of the shell shields instead. This one in particular has 35 shell defense, but it doesn't have an energy cost, so that's what we're going to be rolling. So we'll just kind of quickly roll through here, see if the added speed from the setup, added speed and defense for that matter, that will be enough to carry us through. Again, it seems like, reasonably speaking, we're not really lasting long enough. to be able to completely like use all those rockets or anything like that, so I figured just spam firing is not really doing the trick as much. Going for those pivot shots like the first time around definitely did seem to work, so we're going to be going for that. It's just, yeah, it's this map that's the part of the issue anyway. It's just that it, like, when it comes to manual fire type of stuff, it's very difficult to do in a situation where you can't effectively see everything. So yeah. And again, partially it's the PS2 thing. Like, realistically speaking, there is a reason that I did all the rest of them on the PSP, because it does not have the after image, which means that it's a lot easier to manually see stuff. So, like, right here, like, when you're moving around, you see that everything kind of has a little bit of a blur to it. And it was a very PS2 style thing, but yeah. And while it works for, you know, hiding graphical infidelity and stuff like that, it's just... it really, really makes it hard to see stuff. At least for something like this, anyway.
Destroy.
Right, so in this case, it looks like they do take your shield down.
Special weapons detected.
Always special. He's one special boy. Always cheating, that 9-ball. Alright. See if I can readjust my controls a little bit to have an easier time. I keep trying to move this around, and I really might just switch back over to the PSP controls at this rate. Like right there, I was instinctively trying to readjust the camera for that, actually. Nope. Wrong button. Hit him while he's stationary. Love how we're literally on the very final thing of this thing, and I still am having issues with the controls. Not because of the control scheme in particular. Not because of the strategy employed in particular. Though we do seem to have gained just enough speed from all of these little fudgeries that I think will be good now. Might be worth considering decoy pods if this one doesn't go quite right. It's just that switching to them is a bit difficult. I can't quite do the back circle strafe that those require. Alright. Go and chill and hang out in place, please. Alright. There's another couple of large rockets on him. So I'm thinking in total he's taken at least 6 of them things so far. He's grenade firing from the ground. At least he does have to kneel down on the ground to fire that thing. Alright, the shield is doing its job great. And this is definitely going to be the way to do it if I can visually find him again, as I switch menus again. Alright, where are you? Where are you, buddy? It's right around the thereabouts. Just about there. Right. Hell yeah, there we go. That was the trick. And there we go. So fun fact, you don't actually have to die in the end of the game. You can be a good little jobber and, you know, just leave. Because here's the thing, as you may have noticed, we've been grossly overpaid for a lot of jobs that have required, frankly, very little effort. It is a very broken corporate dystopia, and, well, honestly, do we care about any of these people? God, no. Not to mention, our operator at this point appears to have lost her dang mind. Because, as you may notice, up to this point, she was very passionate about specifically following orders, getting jobs done, you know, all of that kind of thing. And I can't help but notice that it's a pretty reasonable assumption to make that she probably lives nearby here. Because her next line is one of the most nonsensical lines in the entire series. Which, yeah, you know exactly what line this is.
Enemy targets approaching. It may be too late.
Yeah, it sure is. It seems like maybe somebody should have, I don't know, learned this lesson several missions in.
Must stand and fight.
No. No, we don't.
It's our way.
No, it ain't. Your way, maybe, lady.
They're here.
Sweet. And, well, just like that, I am out.
Failed to analyze the target.
No shit, there's a lot of them. If I could just, thank you. Later, y'all. Screw y'all, I'm going home. And yeah, that is Armored Core Nexus. Yeah, the intro to Armored Core Last Raven, which is a way shorter game. The story is it might exist. It's mostly just a bunch of stuff that sort of happens, as is the way with the Armored Core series. It can play out in a lot of different ways, but honestly none of those choices have any effect on the ending whatsoever, and may completely decanonize Last Raven, which honestly makes it the best ending. And yeah, there's no way to avoid that ending, but if you end up just hopping off the roof, that's just the end of that. You don't get the email saying that some raven was blown to pieces on top of that roof. That might be the canon ending. I don't care. You can just leave, and they acknowledge that you left. So yeah, done deal. And you end up getting properly paid for the job and everything, and or lose money in our case. And that's just, yeah, it goes straight into Last Raven. So you made it out of that game just fine. They still kick you to the main screen as if you had sat there and, you know, just taken it. But yeah, just so you know, those are infinite. You can literally cheat in infinite ammo, and it wouldn't make a difference. They just spawn infinitely. Which actually, that might be an interesting thing to test. Like, if we cheated in infinite AP and ammo, I need to look into how you apply cheats in PS2 games. But I know I have been told by some folks that were screwing around with it that you could sit there forever and nothing would ever happen. But yeah, you simply can't shoot them all down, and it would be stupid to try. And normally at this point, this is when you'd go over here, and they would say, oh, you know, there was a raven that was shot down, and that was the end of that. And then you're right back to the intro in your New Game Plus file, and you get all of your free missions and your free arena. And I think you get, like, if you end up doing the proper ending, I think you get a part or something. But I don't care. You know, we made it out of that whole thing. We're back at rank nothing, because you can just fight everybody free this time. You don't have to worry about putting yourself up the ranks. So yeah, that's about that. Y'all have yourselves a fantastic one, and let me know what you thought of this. Like I will say, as far as challenge runs go, when it comes to manual fire runs, I probably wouldn't want to try like Nexus for that kind of thing again, but for, you know, a pacifist run, or I don't know, starter AC run, something like that, honestly, you can make anything work in Nexus. It's probably the easiest of the series, despite having technically some of the more unforgiving, you know, kind of mechanics overall and stuff like that. Simply put, because you can just faceplant your way and fail upwards throughout the entire game. There's just about like 1 or 2 missions that you have to do anything for. You are literally just a random participant in the story. You're not even the driving force of it. So it's a fun thing like that. But anyway, y'all have yourselves a good one. Take care, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.